United. One time he's going to get one as well as three. And a goal! Oh, Jimmy Green has done it.
Demanding better at this football club. Huge difference between being negative and being realistic. I just don't agree with you. You're totally wrong in my opinion. We're doing it again. We're getting carried away far too quickly. Good evening, Savva here and Perchy there, and we are joined by J Rated. J Rated, how you doing, brother? You well?
I'm good. It's rated R, you know, just obviously because adult content, adult humor, childish mentality, but you know the drill. Thanks for having me for the first time.
Listen, welcome for losing your Spurs review.
Obviously, I think we need a dose of positivity because obviously after losing this week, it's fate. That's why I'm here. It's fate.
Yeah, listen. It is going to be 4 people, by the way, everybody in the chat. Anybody who knows Spurs YouTube knows Danny Kyriakou will be late to his own funeral. Danny just can't. I told him 10 to 8 for an 8 p.m. start. It's now 10 to 9 for a 9 p.m. start. 10 past 9. He's still nowhere to be seen. And so we were hoping to be a little bit more professional and have all 4 people for the get-go. But we will crack on. Perchy, how are you? First of all, you good? You well?
I'm good, thank you very much. Thank you for asking. How about yourself?
I'm good, mate. I've thoroughly enjoyed all the football today. There's been
it's been some good games today.
There's been some really good games. Loads of goals in the Premier League today, which was really good. Let's crack on. I'll have a little generic chat and then I'll get to our questions when Danny decides to join. If Danny isn't here in the next 4 minutes, I will bring on Stel instead. Sorry, Stel, I don't mean to make you sound like you're Seth, but he has said it. If he doesn't come, I'm literally going to give him 4 more minutes. Otherwise, we'll bring you on, Stel, if that's all right. Jay, you started just now by saying, listen, we need a dose of positivity. It's been a very difficult week for Tottenham Hotspur, starting with Chelsea, then with Wolves, injuries, suspensions, more suspensions for Basuma coming up. It's been difficult, right? It's been a difficult week.
Mm-hmm. I think, like, the thing with anything, like, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face, and we've been punched repeatedly in the face this week. And it's one of those where, I think first and foremost, before going into any sort of knee-jerk or emotional reaction, we cannot say in the summer that. We cannot say, okay, well, we're going to get battered a couple of times. We're going to, while we get up to the squad. And then when it actually happens, everyone loses their shit.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, we all know what a rebuild is. And we know we've actually been fortunate that the nature of our defeats come with a large amount of context. Losing to Chelsea with 9 men, losing in the 90th minute with, so many first teamers losing. The way I look at it is, it's an evolution. The team's evolving, developing. There's a number of players who play in the team that won't be here next season, and it is what it is. And I think there's some unfair narratives that are coming from the game. I'm sure we'll dig into them, but something like people saying players let us down, but the players who came in, I felt performed. They were some of the better performers against Wolves. Like Dyer and Davies were some of the better players on Saturday, and I don't think it's saying much because I think everyone wasn't really good. But to then, like, for example, the goal, I see a lot of people, they're not talking about. And I said before, the goal, the first goal is just a brilliant goal. It's not something that I wasn't like, oh my first reaction was, that's a great goal. I wasn't like, oh my God, what's Dyer doing? Or I was just like, that's a great finish. That's a great goal. That's a good pass. And I think that the second goal as well. It was a good pass. Good pass in. Right between Emerson. Gives the ball away. But I'm saying Wolves from that moment, they switch it out wide. They work it well, and it's a good goal. We got beat by two good goals. We sucker punched Sheffield United. We've sucker punched teams this season. Liverpool last minute. It's our turn to have a little bit of the medicine. If you say from Monday, 5 players from Monday were unavailable for the next game. Yeah, like obviously you had the Van der Ven, Romero, Udoji, and Madison, and then obviously Richarlison too. So 5 players from Monday to Saturday are out. So and that's what you got, and I think it was serviceable. The performance was serviceable against a game Wolves side, and I'm not gonna go too overboard with the criticism. The players, I think Dyer and Davies were fine. They were adequate. They're not Romero and Van der Ven, but Romero and Van der Ven are, £100 million plus centre back pairing together. Do you know what I mean? Like Dyer and Davies would be get £15 million for them together. It's like, if you take 5 players out of Arsenal, if you took the same 5 players that you took out of Arsenal, they would lose. If you sent Arsenal to Wolves and you took 5 players out of the team, like you say Odegaard, Saka, Gabriel, Saliba, and then we'll take out Zinchenko for. If you take those 5 players out of the team, they go to Wolves and lose. Like there's not many teams that could go to Wolves with our absences and win. The form Wolves are playing in, how Gary Neal's got them playing. So
yeah, look, I listen. I hear you, and we're going to get into it with some specific questions in a minute. We are getting Stell on because Danny. I mean, apologies everyone. Sorry, we do try to have the panel on from the beginning. I don't like the jumping in and stuff like that, so apologies for that. But I think more as we get deeper into this conversation, for me, it wasn't so much about losing. It wasn't so much about, we've got players out we expected to lose. I think it was just more about the application in the game. It just felt off. But I don't want to go too deep into my opinion of that at the moment. We're going to get into it. But look, Perchy, it is the test. And Jay makes a great point there that during the summer, many football fans, many Spurs fans said, you know what? We are going to get beaten a few times. There might be some games where we actually take a hiding. There might be some times where we're great to watch. There might be some times when we're not good to watch. That is turning out to be the case now. And I think a lot of people have forgotten that because of the start that we had. Is this a case, or Spurs fans are always at loggerheads of each other, always. Is the last 24 hours what we've seen? Is this purely because expectations from fans went through the roof after those first 10 games? Is that what this is?
Yeah, I think you're on the money there. I think this is the problem. I think whereas some of us have just gone, do you know what, guys? Listen, I need to see us how we do when we do lose 2 or 3 players because it's going to happen. I'm not sort of running around going crazy that we're going to win the league in October. I've kept saying it. I said, you don't win league titles in October. You win them in May. I said, let's just take it easy. Let's stop making audacious claims in October. Let's just see, because I said, you'll know we and you stream all the time being on this channel, but I say all it takes is 2 or 3 injuries and it goes from up here to like this. We got that against Chelsea, right? We didn't just lose 2 or 3 players. We lost 4 or 5 in the sense of suspensions as well as injuries. So this is where, for me, like, my expectations have always been based on when we get injuries, because it was going to happen. Suspensions, injuries. I think I'm more concerned. For me, the concern that comes to me is the discipline. For me, the discipline concerns me, because the injuries happen.
That's a good point, Perchy. That it hasn't really been covered much. People haven't really talked about our discipline, and it is a little bit. It's almost like
second worst in the league.
Yeah, it's good. It's great. And one thing I just want to add before you run is, Ange gives the players a lot of autonomy, a lot of responsibility. Are we seeing the flip side of that? In terms of saying, hey, like, sometimes if you let the inmates run the asylum, they're going to go a bit crazy.
No, Jay, that's a great point, because you're right. I think Ange gives a lot of respect to his players. When it's the complete opposite, right? Where we had a Conte last season who was boom, boom, boom in press conferences, where a lot of us, me included, were like, oh, hang on a minute. Let's do that behind closed doors. And I expect him to be doing it behind closed doors. But you make a great point. The responsibility from some of these players, and when I say some of them, I'm on about senior players. I'm on about the likes of a Romero. I would even consider Basuma relatively a senior player.
They're senior, yeah. They've senior got to be senior players. Yeah.
Senior players at this football club need to be. These are the ones I expect to be going over to a doggy, going, whoa, mate, lad, you can't keep doing this, because if you can't keep getting suspended and missing games of football, because you're vital to this team, and I think this is where this is the bit for me, really, guys. That's really what I would say for it.
Yeah, look, I'm going to bring Perchy, can you bring Stel in with the format? And I'll just cover this before we get to the first question when Stel is here. It is a good point, and welcome, Stel, to the show. Thanks for jumping on. I don't need to explain Danny Kiriakou to you. You get it, right? Look, it is a good point about the players' discipline, because it's great that Ange has got them working hard. Absolutely. It's great that they're all committed. It's great that they want to fly into tackles. It's great that they're pressing. But these very same attributes are what is contributing towards the displays we're seeing. And what I mean by that is Basuma getting a red against Luton takes him out of the team. Him getting another yellow yesterday because he can't stop fouling means now our midfield's even weaker against Aston Villa. Romero, people going, I love it when he jumps in on people. Brilliant. But now we haven't got him for 3 games. This is becoming, for me, a little bit of an issue, but we will park that for 1 second. Stel, I'm going to start with you with this. How are you, mate? You well? You good?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for having me on. I did call Danny and message him and nothing. So he's probably asleep still. He's probably asleep.
Yeah, listen, if he tries, I've said to him that I can get him on next week, but if I don't know if Perchy can make 5 happen, but we'll see. Listen, first question I want to discuss today is, I'm going to start with you, Stel. Is this nice and simple? What went wrong yesterday? I know it's such a basic question, but what went wrong? Was it team selection? Was it players' attitude? Was it Wolves were better than us? Was it all of the above? What did you make of the whole thing?
To answer the question straight up without going over the top with an analysis, I've seen this picture for the last 23 years under this ownership. We are yet again in the same position I've seen, where we've got a good first 11. I thought Harry Redknapp had a good first 11. I thought Pochettino had a good first 11. I think Ange has got a good first 11. As soon as we need to call to the bench for reinforcements, for backup, we might have 1 or 2, like a Bentancur maybe, that kind of player. That's it. That is it. So as soon as you need to call on 4 or 5, it is alarm bells because the drop off is humongous. The drop off from a Dogie to an Emerson Royal at left back is humongous. The drop off from a Van de Ven to an Eric Dyer is humongous. The drop off from a Madison to a Gio Lo Celso, massive. A drop off from, I can go on and on and on, right?
Well, we knew this was coming, right? This isn't new. This isn't something we discovered in the last week, is it? We knew this was going to be the situation, right?
Like, exactly. Like I'll give you a really good example, okay? Because I had to go back a bit to just confirm my thinking. But this is last season under Conte. We're beating Southampton, right? This was the team. We had Kane, Son, Richarlison, Davies, Porro, Skip, Højbjerg, Longley, Dyer, Romero, Foster. And off the bench came Royale, Perisic, and Pape Sarr. Pretty similar to the kind of arrangement yesterday.
Right.
3-1 up, 10 minutes to go, 3-3, and carnage. That is similar to what I saw yesterday. 1-0 up, 7 minutes to go, 2-1. We've got players, once they're called upon, they just can't handle the pressure. They can't keep possession of the ball. They go into panic mode. And the better players that are still fit and healthy, they get dragged down by this because they can't play that fluid football that the better players can play with them. If you've got one or two average players, the majority of the good ones will raise their levels. But when you've got a complete imbalance, everyone gets affected. And I've seen this happen time and time and time again. And for me, that is at the crux of what happened. And to fans who said we're going to win a league title, I hope now you are on board that this is a 2-3 year process and we are going to have to be patient. This is the beginning of our Arteta finishing 8th. We are now in that bit. This is the storm we have to weather. If we weather this and the board do the right thing, I'm confident we'll come out on the other side. But these hits we're going to take, listen, the next 2 games, they're going to be even bigger hits than Wolves. I'm pretty confident of that. Sadly, I'm confident, but it's part of the process that we're in, right?
Yeah, listen, I agree. I mean, Jay, let me come to you for that. I mean, look, I think Stell is right.
I agree with what he's saying to a large extent. I do think there's an element of like I think game state is very important too. In fact, like Southampton were nowhere near as good a side as Wolves are. Wolves are a much better side than Southampton were last season. And we conceded 3 goals to Southampton. We conceded 2 in injury time. I think in that game...
Jay, sorry to interrupt, but we had Harry Kane pulling us out of every difficult situation.
I guess for me,
I think it balances out.
I'm more looking at it from the point of view of saying, in that game yesterday, to me, it's a little bit easy to say that those 3 players, the Davies, the Dyers, the Højbjergs, were the cause of that defeat when a number of other players that, the Bazumas, the Sons, a number of other players had bad games. And I'm not willing to give those players a pass to say these players dragged you down, rather than say you guys need to take control of your own performances and deliver. Like Kane was scoring 30 goals a season, so he was delivering around trash. So
he's class,
why would I give those players a pass when I'm not
Harry Kane's class?
Kane's class. But my point is that to the fan base, a number of these players are high quality players. The fan base have been saying these players are high quality players, and for me, it's like, okay, well, high quality players take responsibility in key moments. So maybe some of these players aren't as good as some people think they are. Do you see what I mean? So I think it all adds together to say, well, yeah, the point you're making isn't incorrect in terms of these players aren't good enough for where we want to be. But in terms of Van de Ven and Romero could have struggled yesterday against Wolves. They would have given us a hard game no matter who was playing. So I don't want to dive straight into the narrative of these players, this and that, obviously, so they've not had the opportunity as well. Against Brentford, we played a certain kind of way and we improved after Brentford offensively. So there's almost an element of some of those players as well. They need game time. It's difficult,
Jay, didn't we improve because we dropped Royale? because we dropped Richarlison. We stopped playing these average players and only played the better bunch. And as soon as all it needs is 2 or 3, and I think the whole thing goes out of kilt.
Yeah.
I really think that's all it takes, because the system is so dependent on technical quality decision, fluid, quick passing. As soon as you put 2-3 pieces that the dots break down, we can't.
And that's fair. And I think I don't personally, whilst I take the narrative of, the club has not always pushed the boat out. It's probably a friendly way to say. The club hasn't pushed the boat out with regards signings and things like that. But Arsenal have a better squad than us. Liverpool, the rest of the teams have better squads than us, and it's going to take us a certain amount of time to get the squad up. And these are teething issues that have been mitigated heavily by the excellent start that Ange has had. And I agree with you in terms of we're going to get some digs. We're going to get pounded a few times. But like I said, against United, and me, Savva and Perchy were talking about it, against United, Van de Ven did not have a good game. Yeah, and he could easily. Rashford was running off him. Romero could have given away a penalty. So it's very easy to say, well, Dyer and Davies, they just dragged the team down, when other players have had bad moments in games and they've not been punished. And because they've not been punished, the narrative has not been this player is poor. This player, Van de Ven own goal against Burnley. People running off people, etc. That happens to all the players,
It's because Davies and Dyer have done it under 5 different managers, Jay.
Absolutely.
Hang on. We will get to this. Hang on. We will get to this. Listen, Perchy. I'm gonna pass it over to you for a second. I think the guys make good points, but I mean, look, we knew that there was only so much we could do in one summer, right? We knew that we weren't going to be able to build a whole team. With that in mind, though, are you surprised that with the signings we made in the summer, everyone's talking about what a great window we had, but that we bought 3 wingers and the centre-back and centre-forward area where we really do need enhancing was 2 18-year-old kids. As much as that's great and you're buying youth, did we get that wrong? Should that have been, okay, let's get some kids in January, but in the summer, let's get a centre-back, let's get a centre-forward. Did we miss a trick?
I have you right and wrong in certain things. I think you're right in the sense of a centre-half. I think the centre-half was crucial and a bit naive from the football club to not get another centre-half in and then panic on the final day to try and get one in and then didn't. I'll be honest, I think the club thought Richarlison was going to be the guy. I think there's people at the football club thought we spent a lot. We can all sit here and agree he's not the guy, but I think there's people at the football club gone, well, we spent a chunk of money here. Yeah. We can't go. Can we justify going out and spending another 50, 60, 70 million pound on another number 9? Let's try and ride it out. And it hasn't worked, right? So I agree. I think we should have gone in and got a number 9, Percy. Just to sort of touch on what the boys think, I actually have the boys both right in all different ways. I think blaming Davis and Dyer for if we use yesterday as an example, I think it's very, very lazy debate and blame yesterday. I'm not saying anyone was, by the way, but I see a lot of people going, well, Davis and Dyer are in the team. That was the reason we lost. Well, hang on a minute. It wasn't. Ben Davis was arguably the best player on the pitch yesterday for us. So I think we have to be contextually right in that. For me, the biggest issue was our midfield. And bear in mind, 2 of the 3 of them play week in, week out for us in Basuma and Sarr. And I thought our midfield was awful yesterday. I thought they did nothing. I thought they were the 3 worst players on the pitch for me. I thought they were really, really poor. I thought they were not good at all. And even in the final third, bear in mind, in some sort of context and stuff, all 3 of them play. Yeah, you could say Johnson comes in and out of the team in a sense, but all 3 of them are the first team, so to speak. Yeah. And they were toothless yesterday. And I made a point. Several. We were doing the watch long. We did the reaction. I said, without James Madison, we don't create anything. And it was like it last season with Harry Kane. If Harry Kane wasn't doing something, we don't win games of football. And I said it. If he doesn't score or create, we don't win games of football. And it feels like we're back there again, but this time it's James Madison.
Yeah, and before we move on to the next to the main talking point, I mean that is a good point, isn't it? Still, when you actually look yesterday, because we had the chat the other night on Spurs Unleashed, and I think you actually said it. It was you or Will. I think it was you said, we're worried about the back, but let's be fair. From the midfield and forwards, it should have enough. We should, it's 5 of our main 6 players. We should have enough. He's got his first choice front three. Right? His first choice front three played. Basuma, Sarr. Are we at the point where are we realizing that maybe some of those players have just been gassed up a little bit too much still? Like I think Sarr and Basuma in the last 4 or 5 games haven't been anywhere near what the praise they were getting from the first 5 or 6 games. Are they starting to get found out a little bit? Because I thought they were both really poor yesterday.
So
really poor.
Before you jump in stuff, in defense of Sarr, he was on the other side to where he normally plays, slightly different position, slightly different interactions for him. I think,
but it's not just yesterday, Joe. That's the last few games. I think Sarr's looked.
Yeah, he's looked.
I'm not knocking him. He's a kid, but he's looked very much like a young, naive kid. But our fan base, you know what we've done? We've hyped him up to the point where God, this guy is the next Yaya Toure, and it's like, whoa. I'm starting to see why he didn't play every game under Conte. If I'm brutally honest.
For me, the thing is that like with this evolution of style and growing and stuff like that, there's growing pains, and I think there's a development issue. Or levels for the players. So I think everybody has a familiarity level with the tactics and the formation, relationships between players. Obviously, and I think that in terms of fluidity, I think once you have in a team, a number of games where you're playing the same team the same way, then you get the disruption. Bizuma starts getting suspended. With the team familiarity is a little bit not there, and I think it's a fair point to say, if you're going to praise the players amazingly when they do well, you have to effectively critique them when they're not doing as well. Exactly. So I would say maybe there's an element of maybe the players have been overrated to an extent, and it's down to them to prove or disprove what we're saying right now. It's down to the players over the next few weeks, few months to show that they're of the level that they showed in the first 5-6 games, or they're not, of the level that they've shown in the last few games. So I think it's a fair point, but I guess the season will tell us how good these players are across the course.
Of course it will. Of course it will. I mean, look, still, as I said, it was his first choice front three. Everyone said that Ange just said any player that comes in, they'll only come in with his blessing. That Johnson was his number 1 target. You've got Johnson, Kulu, Son all playing. Fans are predicting, we'll score loads against Wolves because that front three is really, really good. My question to you, to slightly mix up a bit, is that front three as good as we think it is? And by we, I mean Spurs, because I'm really worried by what I'm watching from this front three. I'm really worried.
Is the front three as good as we think? Depends what you think. Right?
No, you know what I mean. You know what I mean, right? Like lots of people, everyone's like, oh my God.
Is it Liverpool's front three? No, it's not. Is it is it Saka, Martinelli, Jesus? No, it's not. I think we've got a clinical striker in Son if you give him the service. I think Brennan Johnson can be effective, but he's going to need games, and we're going to need to see what he's really about, because I've only seen glimpses of him. Like yesterday, he scored his goal, and I thought he played well in the first half, but second half he went missing. Kulu, I liked what Kulu did yesterday, but he did one thing where we had 3 players, I think it was at the back post or running in, pick one out, and it's a goal. It's 2-0, and he didn't. And I'm like, Kulu, why? So I don't think they are. But what I will say is, Kulu's 23. I think Johnson's 22. They're very young. Do you know what it is, Savva? I just want to see us build this squad, and for Ange to get it into their heads how he wants it to be, develop these young players, and when they get to like that 25, 26 years old, we had maybe 2-3 years with them, then I can really judge. To judge it now, but just like fans judged us winning the league, that was too early. I think judging what these players are like now is also a bit too early. You could say there's one or two players right? There's a couple of players we know they're not good enough, right? We just know. There's others where I'm not sure. Like, I'll be honest, Brennan Johnson, I'm not sure. I don't know if he's going to be good or whether we've spent a lot of money on a player that's just going to have moments. Richarlison, I know he's at the wrong signing.
I was waiting for his name to come up. I was waiting for it.
So I don't know. We definitely need someone with a bit more flair down the channels. We do need someone a bit more with a bit more pizzazz that can beat a man or two, whipping good balls into the box. And we definitely need another player that can score. Because other than Son, and if he's not firing, then there's pretty much nothing. We need Harry Kane for this system. Of course we do, right? If we haven't replaced him, it's that simple. We haven't replaced Kane.
No, I agree. I mean, Perchy, listen, I want to come on to the next subject and start with you. Before I do, I think I speak for both of us on both of our behalves and I say, come on, guys and girls. There's over 350 people in the room and on 117 likes. I believe that's 1 in 3. I was going to say there's Richarlison conversion rates, but I wish Richarlison's conversion rate was 1 in 3. Smash the like button and please subscribe as well. Please do keep subscribing. Perchy, I'm going to let you kick off with this one, mate. Next question. I'm going in a different order, by the way. So when it says free, I'm aware there's not been a number 2. I'm aware. I just wanted to lead on from this. I'll come back to number 2 in a minute. Did Ange get the lineup wrong, Perchy? All summer it was can't sell Lo Celso. Can't sell Lo Celso. He's Madison's backup. Yeah, Kulu can play in the number 10. Yeah, Ange loves playing the kids. Yeah, Ange will blood through kids. You come to a game where James Madison is missing and none of those things materialize. It's straight back in with Højbjerg. Did he get that wrong? And did he get the forward line, the defense? What were you expecting?
Hindsight's a beautiful thing, by the way, because if we don't concede 2 late goals and we win 1-0, we're sitting there going, oh, we've just got over the line and won it, right? So hindsight's a beautiful thing. But I'll go back to when I saw the team news. We were live and stuff. I saw it face value and stuff. I love Postecoglou.
Hang on.
Nearly.
You love Poch's Chelsea. Is that what you were about to say?
Oh no, I'm not. Alex knows.
Look, Savva. Look at his Chelsea top he's wearing.
Yeah.
He's
Spurs purple.
What are you on about? I just need to get a gold scarf and
is that a lion? Is that a lion? Is that a lion?
No, it's a horse, my friend. So I'll answer the question. So for me, you've really thrown me off. Well done, Stel. Nice work. For me, I would say on this, I think I have to always caveat that I love the manager. I think he's great and stuff because anytime you say anything, it's like you hate him. No, but I would say this. I think he slightly bottled the lineup because I kind of thought we all went, we don't want to see. Why are we seeing Dyer in this team? Davis, blah, blah, blah. He pulled Phillips from the under 23, under 21s or whatever. And I went, okay, do you know what? I don't mind it if he puts in an Ashley Phillips. Give this young lad a go. Maybe Lo Celso's going to start surely as the replacement number 10. And he went with 3 relatively, in air quotes, defensive midfielders. And you could argue, if this was last season, I would have been critical of Antonio Conte for putting in 3 defensive midfielders in central midfield and playing those sort of ones and not giving another player a go. So I have to be honest with it and say I think the manager bottled the selection and went, you know what? Hindsight's a beautiful thing because if we go and win the game, no one talks about it. We got over the line and won.
But it's not hindsight, Perchy, when you and I said it right when the team was selected. I mean,
no. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying at the time.
One thing I would say though is that I thought that whilst we were creatively bankrupt, when we had the 3 odd, we were way more stable. Like at the end of that game, whether it's tiredness or this or that, we were more creative with Lo Celso and Bentancur, but the team was more open. Like they were like when we didn't have the DMs on when we didn't play level, we were getting cut open a lot. I thought, and that could have been because of game state.
Was
Wolves
it?
were chasing the game.
But this is what I was told, though. Like, we're playing much more attacking and out and expansive football. Like,
course.
we're not being more pragmatic, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Well,
I
Perchy,
expect
hang
that.
on,
Yeah.
Jay, hang on. But this is the thing that I want to discuss with you lot, right? This is the thing. Everything that I've been told for the last week on any channel I've been on, right, is Ange isn't going to compromise his beliefs. This is how we play. Ange is brave. He only wants to play attacking football.
Yeah.
Then you've got the chance to go, all right, cool. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. So I'm really conflicted from what he did against Chelsea. The excuses I was hearing for what he did doesn't then match up with them what he did, Jay, against Wolves. Which one is it?
So great point. I think for me, I would push back and I'd say, okay, so if I'm putting myself in Ange's shoes and I'm trying to be like, okay, how did Ange come up with this lineup and why does it not make him a hypocrite? Is the way I'm kind of thinking.
Right.
And I'll be like, right.
Sure.
So out of possession. So I think in theory, if you take into account Bentancur's, still coming back to fitness, you're basically saying, he's gone with the best player, the best three out of possession. Yeah. And
right, okay.
Do you see what I mean? So it's almost like, I'm not saying that he's abdicated responsibility for the offensive side, but he said, right, if we've got Dyer and Davies starting, and we're going to need to be better out of possession. And he's picked the three players who are the best out of possession in that midfield.
Sure.
Yeah?
I get it.
So creatively, no, it didn't work. So Bizuma, arguably, even though he wasn't having a great game, was giving stability to the team that we lost when Lo Celso and Bentancur came on. So whilst Gio, Gil, Bentancur on the pitch at the same time, yeah, that's what the fans want from an aesthetic point of view. But from an off the ball, out of possession point of view, it hurt us.
So Ange can adapt tactics. So Ange, what I've been told all week is you don't understand, not by you, you don't understand Ange. This isn't what Ange does. And still, I mean, come on, like, surely, can you have it both ways?
Right. When Ange came out and said what he said about the Chelsea game, after the game, he made that, it's what's become a bit of an infamous quote now. I'll still do the same fad 5 men, right? And in the WhatsApp group, I said to you guys, he's not going to do the high line against Wolves.
Yeah,
right?
he did.
People, I think, just need to read between the lines a little bit. I've kind of figured out Ange a bit. Sometimes he'll be really genuine and genuinely say what he thinks about a situation. Other times he'll just wants to get the media off his back. That was get the media off my back moment. Against Luton, I said this, we went down to 10 men. He didn't play that high line. And against Chelsea, it was a complete opposite when we went down to 10 men and 9 men. So he's proven he will adapt. He's shown us. Unfortunately, what fans, what a lot of fans do is, especially rivals, to look to, they want to beat us. They'll grab hold of something that they can spin on us. I knew he wasn't going to do that against Wolves, and I put it in the WhatsApp group. I go, he's not going to do it, and he didn't, because it would have been nuts if he did it. I got why he did it against Chelsea. Yes, it backfired, but I understood what he was thinking with it. So for me, I think that did he pick the wrong lineup? Do you know what? We're going to find out the next game, because I said before the game against Wolves, I want Phillips starting at the back, and I want Lo Celso as the attacking mid, because we need an attacking mid to replace Madison, and I don't want to see Darren Davies. I don't want to see it. I'm sick of that. But I also said, but I know what he's going to do. He's going to play Darren Davies, and he's going to go with Højbjerg. And he literally go on to Kate, girl from next door show, Spurs, just a girl that loves Spurs. I said it on her show on Friday. Yeah, I said it on her show on Friday. He did exactly that. And the reason I knew he was going to do that is because, one, he was going to go with players that he trusted for this. He was going to go, and Perchy, maybe that is a bit of a bottle job, maybe, right? Going with the trusted rather than taking the risk, maybe. But in the defense, do you know what? I thought about this long and hard. Why didn't you start Phillips, man? I don't get it. And then, do you know what? I don't think Phillips is ready. And the reason being, he's got no problem starting young players. Udogie, Van der Ven, Pape Sarr. He's got no problem starting young players. Why won't he start this kid? I don't think he's ready. And if you think of Arsenal when they signed Saliba, for 2 years he didn't play for Arsenal. They sent him on loan, or he was just training with them for the beginning bit. And Arsenal fans were saying, "Why don't you play him? Why isn't Saliba playing, man? What a waste of money!" Now they're waxing lyrical about him. We all are. Just maybe Phillips isn't ready, and he needs.
Still, I get that. I'm not doubting that. But the thing is, and somebody said to me yesterday, "Oh, have you ever thought that Phillips might not be ready?" Yeah, cool. But you know what? This is what the club bought. You know what I mean? This is the problem I think Spurs fans have,
isn't he?
No, I get it. Yeah, still, I get it. I'm not saying he isn't one for the future. But when you're looking in the summer and going, we need 2 centre backs. Like some people were saying, we need 3.
Oh yeah, I agree.
When he's the second one brought in, and we will get to transfers a bit later.
We should have bought over as well, Savva. I fully agree.
I agree. But before we move on to the next point, I did want to talk about from the lineup perspective as well. Was anyone else surprised? Because we've been hearing for the week before that Ben Davies is injured, Ben Davies isn't going to play. And then it really was the conversation of, right, who goes in, right? Is it going to be Phillips? Is it going to be Dorrington? Is it going to be Emerson Royal coming in the middle? What, blah, 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 blah. Is anyone else, did you immediately go, as soon as Ange said on Friday morning in his press conference that Ben Davies is fit, is that the moment, like me, did you all go, there you go, Davis Dyer. Whether Davis was going to be left back or centre back, you knew Ben Davis and Eric Dyer were going to play again. And again, for me, my only worry with this is it's back to that word of everyone keeps saying it's about being brave. But that wasn't brave, was it? Again, it was very it was backwards. Rather than moving forward, it was backwards. I'm not blaming them for the defeat, by the way, but
I think he means brave in the style of play, not necessarily brave in the sense of team selection. I think that's what he's saying.
But
possibly. Go on, Perchy.
Listen, I would just say this: like the club must have assumed that Ashley Phillips was going to play. By the way, Ashley Phillips, I think. No. But the club. Sorry,
don't get still started.
You know what I mean?
The manager knew. I think the manager was going to start Ashley Phillips on yesterday, until he got news that Ben Davies was fit. Because why would he pull him out of the under-21? Why would he pull him out of the under-21s and if he's not ready?
Because you need a centre-back on the bench in case...
Yeah, but he put Dorrington on the bench and Dorrington played that game. So that's a good point. What I mean?
Dorrington came on, did he?
So that's a fair point, Perchy.
No, he was in that game, I'm sure. And then he was on the bench yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So basically, he's almost saying... And I understand. I think that... But is there an element of Detroit Parrots about this with the Spurs fans and with Ashley? And I think Stel makes a fantastic point about Phillips not being ready, because the evidence is there that the manager thinks. Same with Donnelly. The thing is we saw these kids versus Cambridge. We've seen them versus League One sides, League Two sides, and these players don't look overly ready. Like physically, Phillips is probably ready. On the ball, he's nowhere near Dyer. Like Dyer's considerably better on the ball than Phillips. So,
about that.
I think he is. I think.
How do we know? How do we know that for sure? Like that's not. I'm not disagreeing with you.
You're right.
In terms of my observations of watching the under-21s and stuff, I think Dorrington's good on the ball, and I think Phillips is more physically ready. But I think if you could smash Dorrington and Phillips together, they'd be the perfect. The perfect player at this point. But
Jay, this is what the club gave us. This is the point, and we're going to get into transfers more later. But this is the difference, Jay. The difference with, and listen, I'm all over your first part. I thought 50% of what you said, I bang on. I agree, because when fans, do you remember about 3 or 4 years ago, people going, "We don't need a backup striker. We've got Troy Parrott," and it was like, "What? Hang on, he's not good enough." But Troy Parrott came through the youth team, right? Mm-hmm. This Phillips is somebody that they've actively gone. Yeah, we need centre backs. There's your second centre back. There's your second signing at centre back. So, what are we meant to think?
Savva, did we as fans assume that was the second centre back rather than thinking?
But it was.
Yeah, but
I think they bought him. I think they bought him as one for a year or two time.
Right, I think.
So instead of being the second centre back, it was just not in the minds for now, and we just bought one centre back.
Well, but I also think
Ben Davies
defense of the club. but to be fair to the club still and Savva, is that I would say that I don't know enough about behind the scenes of the transfers of what we do. I know Lloyd Kelly. I prefer our approach now of what we're trying to do, and I appreciate that in the past few years, maybe the club hasn't pushed the boat out. But I also think that what the club has done at times is buy the wrong player and then have to pay for that for the next few years. And that's not to say that there's no centre-backs in the world, but it's almost like if the club has a tight list of players that they want, then I'm okay with, it's better for us to not have the play. It's better for us to not have a player. Thanks, man. It's better for us not to have the player and suffer. Is it like last? I think it was in January last year when we finished top 4 over Arsenal. I can't remember what position it was. It might have been striker, but Arsenal needed a player, and they didn't get that player, and we finished above them, and they suffered for not having that player. But in the summer, they went and bought Jesus. So they went and got the exact player they wanted and needed. Yeah, I think they would like Dusan Vlahovic. They were sniffing around, but in the summer they went and got what they needed, and they suffered. And I think that the club we should have. I think it was a failure of the club to not buy a second centre back. I don't co-sign losing Sanchez was as big an issue as people think, because him and Dyer have different issues. So Sanchez is great pace and recovery, but he's not good on the ball. Dyer better on the ball, doesn't have the pace and recovery. So no matter what, you're always gonna. It's like having a duvet. Like either your chest is exposed or your feet are exposed. The blanket's not long enough. So, I think obviously you guys are making good points, and it's definitely food for thought.
I've got a slightly different take on the whole centre back thing. I agree with Stel. I don't think this. I think I said it at the time. I think when I actually did a show with you, Stel, at the time when we signed him, I think on Tommy's channel and stuff, when we sat there and went, I said, this kid isn't signed for now. This kid is signed for the future. I said, everyone was going crazy because at the time we hadn't signed Van de Ven at the time, and everyone's going, oh, this is the one. I said, ignore this signing. It's got nothing to do with now. It's all about the future. I think the biggest problem we had, it's not the players coming in, it's the players coming out. For me, I think the issue is we had a situation where we still have it, and we're going to be dealing with it in January. We're going to deal with it in the summer, in the sense of it's the 1 in, 1 out situation. We could only realistically get rid of one to get another one in and stuff, in the registration problem we have massively at this football club. Unless then we sit there and say to a player, you're not registered, and then it bites us in the backside legally, because it can legally screw us over. But listen, I think that was the issue down in the summer, right? And I think we needed a centre. You could tell we were desperate to sign one, because hang on,
just quickly. Just quickly before Stel, just before you come in, sorry, I've got to get to a super chat here. Big up to Joseph, who's put in a super chat. Thank you very much for your generosity. Really appreciate you. I said our first 11 can compete with the best. When you start playing these poorer players, you see all the rubbish we saw with Poch, Jose, Conte. Until we have 18 players where the level doesn't significantly drop, then nothing is changing. Now,
I agree with that.
I agree with this. Now, what I'm going to do, Joseph, I like this comment and I want to have a conversation about it, but in the transfer section of the show. So I'm going to bring up your super chat again a little bit later, if that's okay with you, Joseph. I'm not just sweeping it past. I'm going to come back to that. And what I will say, people, we are 2 subscribers away from 11,800. Just 2. I've set a rather ambitious target. I want to be at 12K, which is 200 more subscribers between now and Thursday night's content awards. If we could get to that, it would be absolutely amazing. So please do smash the subscribe button. It is in the chat and it is also pinned. So please do subscribe. And also go and subscribe to Stelios at Tottenham Away for him, Iggy, Will, and the boys. Still, I want to bring you in here on that. But this is, I don't want to go too deep into the transfers, but for me, I think what somebody put in the chat just now, it just sent a kind of negative connotation from the moment the team was read out, that straight away it was Højbjerg, not Lo Celso, or Kulu in there. It was Davis and Dyer, not one of them with one of the young guys. You know what I mean? It just felt like it was, oh no, we're going back to what every other manager's done. Is that purely through absolute necessity? Or do you think, personally, he could have been a little bit more, I don't want to say braver, I hate that word, but could he have been a little bit more risk averse, so to speak?
Yeah, look, of course he could have. Of course he could have. I think with what we're doing right now, we're gonna have to get used to things that we as fans know what it's going to end up looking like, but he's got to get there with them. Like the players and him have got to get on this journey together, right? What I mean by that is, we know as soon as we saw that starting lineup, we were all, but we knew it because that's our fault, because we've built ourselves all week. Oh, I can't wait to see Phillips. Looking forward to see maybe Donington in there. We've all built ourselves up, so when it doesn't come, it's like, and that's our fault. It's not his. Definitely we could have been a bit more either Bentancur and Gio starting, but listen, he's going to have his reasons for doing it, right? Yeah. This is where we've just got to put a bit of faith in the man during this period, and I do think it's going to get worse before it gets better. By the way, I don't want to be negative about it all, but I do think it's going to get worse before it gets better. Like if the next game or against Man City, Phillips or Donington start, and it's not because of injury to Davies and Dyer, then we can come back and say, Stel, you know that little theory you had, mate? Do you want to explain that one again to us, right, about him not being ready? Because clearly what I said was nonsense. But if he sticks with Davies, Dyer, or maybe even Højbjerg in the back, right, then you know they're not ready, or he just doesn't trust it. And it goes back to what you said about Parrott. Mourinho, you know, there you go. You want him? I played him. It didn't work. He wasn't ready. So
to the extent that he almost threw, not through the Norwich game, but it was like, look what this kid did. He just knocks us out of the cup.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like you
Savva,
can ruin a player. It's like you can ruin a player by throwing him in, and that's what we did. We didn't, maybe not ready, but it's like Parrott never even got a sniff after that, because obviously in the biggest moment, like the Premier League is very much a first impression league. Do you know what I mean? As in, like, the first thing, make a positive first impression, people will give you time. Yeah. The more you then can showcase your quality is great. But if he comes in and has a bad day, do you remember Foyth? Do you remember Foyth? How great?
Yeah, sure. Listen,
mate, we did it with Dane Scarlett as well. Dane Scarlett's going to replace Kane. Really?
Really? Yeah.
We've heard
absolutely
so many.
Look, let's move on. You tight gits. We only needed 2 to get to 11,800, and not 2 of you out of 400 in here could smash that subscribe button. Listen, we are going to move on to the next point. Just quickly, thank you so much. George has given away another channel membership. And that's I think that's like his 4th or 5th one today. He did a few in the watch along. And unfortunately, it was gifted to someone called Will Stewart. Will Stewart was gifted the channel membership, so big up Will in the chat as well. Look, this is before we talk about the transfers and backing the manager and that kind of stuff. Perchy, I'll start with you on this one. I want to ask this question. No Madison, how concerned should we be? Now, the premise of this question is, just to give it context, is everyone keeps talking about, who's the most valuable player at Spurs? Who can you afford to lose the most? People keep, Son or Van de Ven or Romero or Vicario. For me, it's none of those. It's this guy. I truly believe we have a system that is built upon this man's creativity, this man's ability to pass, this man's ability to assist, and his ability to drive with the ball into dangerous areas and create. How big a miss is this going to be? Because we have no one in the squad that can come in and play that role in his absence. I know people want to force players in there, Perchy. Like, Kulu can do it. We've got no proof of that. How big a miss is he going to be for the next 9 games minimum?
Catastrophic miss. It's horrendous. I don't want people to think it's doom and gloom, but I think yesterday was the benchmark, by the way. And in the space of the next 5-6 games, probably in air quotes, the easiest one of the games to come along. And without him, we look toothless. How many times have we said when James Madison gets subbed off, the pitch, what happens? We don't look like we're going to score goals. When Madison's on the pitch, everything, as you said, everything goes through him. And the thing is we're not without him for a week or two. We're without him with at least 2 months. Yeah. And
he's everything, isn't he, Perchy? I mean, he is everything. He is everything. I take it, right? Don't get me wrong. People in the chat, and now obviously this is why we do these shows. They're starting to say, well, hang on, Son would only score, without Son's goals. I acknowledge that. But I've seen Son and Kane down the years still manage to score goals where we haven't had a Madison. What I've not seen Spurs be able to do is create loads without a Madison type. I feel like we've gone back a year. I truly feel like we've gone backwards a year, and we're going to be this team now that are just going to hit people on the break. And Jay, sorry, do you need to jump?
Yeah, I do need to jump. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, guys. Obviously, it's funny because you guys. It's funny because when I actually listen to you all, I'm always like, these guys negative, or you get little snapshots of you. I'm like, actually,
you get snapshots of us.
Maybe I'm the villain. Maybe I'm the villain of this story, and you guys are actually the heroes. Do
you know what it is, Jay?
Maybe I'm the Homelander.
People don't like that. If I ask a question, they always believe that means that is my one true opinion. So if I ask a question to Stel right now, it could be that I don't agree with it, but I'm positioning it to him as, let's create some debate. Let's have a conversation. But people in chats just go, you're negative. You and Stel, you're negative.
I think as soon as you say leave you out, you're just automatically tarnished with you hate the club. You hate the club. It's like,
that's fair. That's fair. You guys. To be fair, and I think the rational point is there's different personality traits that all fans have. Some people are more positive, some people are more analytical. Shouts to Will Stewart. Some fans are more Stel, you pretty straight talking, and obviously if you come with a certain methodology and mindset, I think we all here on the panel can say that we understand that it's going to be ups and downs, and there's a lot.
Don't make me like a Levy enough.
He's doing it again.
Hey, look, I'm Levy neutral. I'm Levy neutral. He's all right. You know what I mean? I was doing so well. And on that note, I'll leave before I get.
Jay, listen.
Absolute pleasure, Jay.
But
and you're always welcome back, mate. Thank you. Listen, it's healthy.
I'll have to take you up on that. Much appreciated, guys.
Always, man. Take care, mate. See you later. Yeah, I mean, Perchy, to go back to it, I don't know if you can put us to a 3. That would be amazing. Look, Perchy, sorry, Will was right. I said a minimum of 9 games. I'm purely going from Postecoglou saying that we won't see him until January. I was just going with that number of games. But again, they put some stats up yesterday on the screen of Tottenham with and without James Madison, and throughout every game this season as to when he's come off, and it was so damning. It was unreal, Perchy. The number of shots, the number of touches in the opposition box goes down, the number of chances, the number of everything offensively goes down when that man is not on the football pitch. So we've kind of got the cure and the cause in James Madison, right? To be cheesy about it, we have, because when we've got him fit, one of the best players in the league, and what he does. When he's not fit, I don't know how we play without him.
But do you know what? This is the worry for me, and I stand by it. I said it all along, and I said it when we talk about, and people want to put in other players, but I genuinely sit back and go, the drop off with Madison and anyone else in the club for creativity is like that. You could argue. You could argue with others. The drop off. There's drop offs elsewhere. For me, James Madison. No, I'm not going to say it. But James Madison.
Say it. Put
No.
balls on the line. Be brave.
Okay, I think James Madison is the closest player to world class we have in our football team. He's not. I don't think he is yet, but he's the closest to it.
I hear you.
Because what that man does on a football pitch, for us is everything. And I always use this statement. I'm going to get it on a t-shirt. Everything good that happens with Tottenham right now is because of James Madison, and I say it every week. When he does something, you go, "How has that man done that? Wow." What a ball! What a delivery in the box! This, that, the other, right? Like, and we saw it. We saw it yesterday when he wasn't on the pitch. When he wasn't on the pitch yesterday, I went. There's nothing. We basically went back to the let's launch it long and hope Kulusevski, who hasn't got a lot of pace, can chase down a fullback that he got bullied on that specific front. And do you know what? And it was there was a massive debate in a WhatsApp. That last night was brilliant. But the one thing I will say, I think.
Oh, I was drunk.
You were. It made.
So was Spurs.
Yeah.
But without Madison, I think it made Son not in the. He wasn't. I didn't feel he was in the game at all, and Son missed him massively. Like massively, I thought without Madison, I didn't see Son really go. Do you know what? Push on. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
we had
absolutely.
No one to unpick the pass.
Absolutely. By the way, yeah, look, Will Stewart, of course, dude. You're more than welcome to jump on if you've got some free time, mate. You're more than welcome. Just while I'm doing this next link, if Perchy could send you the link, if you are free, of course, not to say stop doing what you're doing and join us. Still, James Madison. Yeah, I mean, look, listen, those players don't grow on trees. Number 10s, playmakers, creative types don't grow on trees. It's very, very difficult to find one. We found one for 40 million. Do you think we need to buy in the next couple of windows an up and coming young creative talent that would be happy with lesser minutes? What's the option here? Or do you think we've got to give Lo Celso a go and hope that he can rise to the occasion?
Well, short term, we've got to give Lo Celso a chance because there's no option. There's no transfer window till January, and I don't see us spending big money on a top player in January anyway. Long term, depending how Lo Celso goes, let's assume that it doesn't quite work out. You need another Madison or someone just below that level of Madison. Like Perchy says, how other fans tell you, but we have injuries as well. There's a drop off for everyone. Not quite, because we finished 7th under Jose, and we needed a replacement for Eriksen. We never did it. Last season we finished 8th, and we needed a replacement for Eriksen. We never got it. And now we've got it. We've lost it. So we're back to that 8th level. So the drop-off for us will always be massive because we badly needed a defender. We badly needed a left back. We badly needed an attacking mid. And we badly needed someone to replace Victor Wanyama, Moussa Dembele. We badly need a replacement for Kane. Yeah. We got most of them, and they're all out. That means we've gone back to what we were last year, which is 8th. And that's what you saw yesterday. That was an 8th team performance. So the drop-off is massive for us because look at the starting point. It's all right if you're, I don't know, Arsenal, who finished 2nd, and you lose 3 good players. Well, the drop-off for you is what? To stay in the top 4? Well, for us, it's look, we're starting from a much worse position. So it is a big deal for us.
It's just interesting, isn't it? Like
losing Madison is a disaster, man. It's an absolute. We waited 4 years for that replacement. 4 years we waited. It's gone wrong.
And the thing is, as well, Perchy, to round off some conversation about James Madison, is I think all week everyone's been second guessing, like the back. Basically everything that has been content and what that we've all been guessing as Spurs fans, Spurs YouTubers, has been who's going to play centre back. Who's going to play instead of Madison? And then in the end, it was just all really disappointing in all areas, right? It was like, Darren Davis. Højbjerg. Do you know what I mean? It was like, I would have just liked to have seen something, even if it was giving Kulu some game time in the middle of the park. even if that was it, and then Brian Hill plays or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I would just something, but I think when you set up with those three midfielders that we did, you're almost saying we're not going to try and break you down because we don't have anything to break you down. And that's why we had, do you know how many shots we had yesterday? Do you know how many shots we had on target?
Six or something like that.
On target. How many?
On target.
Two or three?
One or two. Yeah, Lo Celso
Three.
had one.
Right.
Yeah, Lo Celso had
Three.
one.
Lo
Johnson
Celso in
scored.
like the 80 whatever minute that was.
Yeah.
The
Johnson
The
and-
goal. And it was a header by Ben Davis.
By the way,
Yeah.
I thought Brian Hill yesterday was really, really average. And I don't see this player working at Spurs, by the way. I know we haven't seen enough. I don't see it. I think he's too flimsy. I think he's far too flimsy for Premier League football.
I can probably agree with you on a certain extent on that. Yeah, I think he came up, but I always will give a caveat in the sense of I haven't seen this kid play. Right? We haven't. Well, I get you. I agree with you to the extent of it, but we haven't seen this lad play. He hasn't played any football for us.
Doesn't that answer it? Doesn't that answer it then?
I agree. No, you got a point there, but
Richie got injured, and straight away Johnson comes in. Brian Hill completely overlooked.
But I would expect Johnson to go in though. I would, in the pecking order, if you want to call it the pecking order, I would think Johnson's way Brian Hill though.
But exactly. So because he's low in the pecking order, that means they don't really regard him as a starter. And that if you aren't challenging for the starting position, you shouldn't be at the club. How has he been in that?
Let's be
This is his third season.
Let's be frank and honest.
What are we waiting for?
Hang on.
3 years?
Are we going down this road again? Like, is this like Ndombele? Is this like Lo Celso, where 5 years down the line we're all sitting there going, well, no manager's picked him. Like, Sessignon,
I'll be with the likes of Brian Hill. I'll be frank and honest. I mean, he's so far down the pecking order. Let's be honest with it. He's below Manor Solomon, Perisic, Johnson, Kulusevski,
Richarlison.
If you're below Richarlison, right? If you're below Richarlison, you should hand in a resignation letter. If you are below Richarlison, you should just quit. That is some doing to be below Richarlison.
Yeah, look. By the way, can I just say, I see so many comments, not like Will's picking up dinner. I see so many comments that are like this one, right? And big up to you, Chris. Thanks for putting it in. Can I just say, when YouTubers have this conversation, we're all fully aware that it's a build and it's going to take years. But if we literally went by this point, we'd never have any talking points, mate. If we literally just said after every game, you know what? Don't worry about it. Ange is great. Team's great. It's going to take 3 years. We may as well all shut all of our shows each week on YouTube. There'd be nothing to talk about.
No, we do a 2 hour sit-in and just say one question and go, oh, it's all great. And we sit here for 2 hours straight.
Exactly. I mean, look, guys, it's strange. It is strange. I thought the team selection for me, I felt was... Yeah, it was. Like when I put that team selection on, I did think, oh my God, we're a year ago. Like, and I know a lot of that is not Postecoglou's fault. But I do feel like I would have liked to have seen just a few bits there that made me go, okay, cool. But at least we're seeing but that's just me. Look, I want to move on to the next point. Unless you've got something else you want to add, Perch?
Oh, I was just going to say, the one thing I would have said, even if we accepted that was how we started, right? That was how we started. I think the one thing, again, I was slightly disappointed on. I think first off, I'll be honest, I think apart from the first 4 or 5 minutes, I thought we were crap. And I think, I'll be honest, I kind of wanted him to go and just change it up a bit. I think I mentioned on stream, actually, I said, do you know what? Why don't we gamble a little? I say gamble is the wrong word, but change it in a bit. Like, they're pressing high on us, Wolves. Let's try and get an outboard. Let's bring someone like a Valise on. Give him half an hour, 25 minutes or something. He's a big boy. Look, let's just, if we need to for a little bit, we can play it an outboard to him and just relieve a little bit of pressure. Because I think at the period in that second half, in that sort of between the 60th minute and the sort of 80th minute, I felt that Wolves all over us, by the way, at that point. I thought Wolves had got into gear, kicked it, and if they had a goal scorer, and I feel like I say this every week when we play teams, if they had a goal scorer, they would have we would have been 2 or 3-1 down before we even got to 90 minutes. And I just thought, you know what, like, we've got these lads like a Valise. We've spent good money on this kid, not loads, but we spent good money on this kid. Like, are we sitting there saying he's not good enough whilst we're struggling at the moment against Wolves to not even just be an outboard for us? I think, for me, that worries me that we go, is he just now our bench filler and when we need it?
But this is my point about both positions. Still, I'll bring you in. This is my point, is like, when we're talking about everything wasn't going to be done in one window, let's move on to the next point, because it is about transfers. Okay. So, and I'll come back to this point in a second. So question is nice and simple. It's Levy. It's Stell's favorite person in the world. It's Daniel Levy. Look, this is the problem. When people say things like, yeah, this is a build, it's going to take time. Of course, I've been saying that as much as everybody else, right? I didn't think it was ever going to be this brilliant season. I think we're going to be in Europe next year. What type of Europe, we don't know. But the frustrating thing for me with that is when people say still, I'm seeing people say, you know, the window was absolutely fantastic. Now, Vicario, great so far. Madison, great so far. Van der Ven, great so far. When I look at the rest of it still, I do feel like it was a kind of lazy numbers building exercise rather than what we need. And what I mean by that is we bought 3 wingers in Manor Solomon, Kulu, and Brennan Johnson. And then the other 2 players that we brought in were 2 18-year-olds in positions that we really needed. A striker, right, and a centre-half. That, for me, is kind of like, that's glossed over that, again, we didn't get what we needed. And we can't do it all in one. I'm going to, before everyone says, blah, blah, blah. But this is coming back to bite us on the backside. People say it's only 2 games still. We could be 3 or 4 games deep soon where we've not won in 5 or 6. So this, for me, I think this is really going to bite us on the backside, not getting a forward and a centre half or both.
But 100%, we're not winning the next 2. I'll tell everyone that now, right? Maybe Man City because of some freak incident and just the voodoo we've got on them. But this time round, I think City are going to pepper us. I think West Ham at home is going to be tough as hell. And then after that's Newcastle. Although Newcastle have got injury problems, they're not playing too great, so you never know. But the reality is, we 2 or 3 players out of the starting. You know, we went to Arsenal. I was so freaking happy after that game, and I went to it not because we drew or we came back. We freaking gave them a game. We actually gave them a game. And when I see Spurs giving teams a game, to me that's progress. Right, we're progressing, and I was just so chuffed. And then I look at yesterday. Like, who cares about? Like, we lost. The performance was awful. It wasn't even like. It wasn't like we were creating chances. And we've missed so many chances. Like Wolves, they were missing all those chances. The Wolves fans would have walked away from yesterday if they lost 1-0 saying, do you know what? Gutted we lost that, but what a great performance. We didn't even do that. And it just proves, as soon as we lose 3 or 4 players, we can't put in the performance. And it is Conte vibes. It is Jose Mourinho vibes. So, yeah, we need to sort this out in the transfer window. 100%. We should have got another striker. How can you sell Kane and Veliz is what you go and buy? Like, we've got fans. Right? Harry Kane right now is proving, put him around some of the best players in the world. He is destroying Bundesliga and destroying Champions League. He's scoring goals like the old Kane, edge of the box, headers, tap-ins, volleys.
Yeah, but it's Harry Kane. I don't think any of us have doubted the boy's going to score goals, right?
Yeah, but look, put him around the best, and it's just he's gone up a level. So obviously, when you lose that talent, you've got to replace it with something. Okay, there's not another Harry Kane, but get something like if we bought like a Jesus, for example, or if we bought a Kvaratskhelia, we'd be like, oh my God, the club are being serious here. Veliz might turn out to be brilliant, but you're right, he doesn't play.
Yeah,
it can't be.
This is the way.
Is he ready? Is another one not ready? Why get that when you desperately need to replace Harry Kane? I'll tell you what, if Son gets injured in the next 2 games, the season's over. The season's over.
Don't. I mean, look, Perchy, look, we're going to continue
the transfer. If Vicario gets injured, season over.
Yeah, sure. Listen, look, I understand all that. That for me is the thing, Perchy. I'm not ever against bringing in youth players. I absolutely not. I've worked in youth football. I'm all for it. Right? I'm never against bringing in talent from around the globe that's only 18 and you put them in and blah, blah, blah. But are we buying these players at the moment at the detriment of what the actual first team needs? You know, like because we spent what, 50? How much did we spend on Valise?
It was about
15?
10 or 15 million pounds.
10 or 15 and 3 or 4 million, I think it was, for Ashley Phillips.
It was 2 million for Ashley Phillips, yeah.
2 million. Okay. So that's money that could go towards someone that we need. And you know, and that all comes into, will Daniel Levy back in January? Because the reports that came out this week, I've got a feeling that I'm getting this wrong. It was, I don't know, I can't remember if it was Eccleshare or Ornstein. I want to say Eccleshare.
Charlie Eccleshare.
Can I just call them Ecclestein? That'll be a lot easier. Because Ecclestein basically have come out and said that to his knowledge, Spurs do not have a lot of money for this window coming up in January. They do not have a lot of money coming up in this window. And that Tottenham knew, obviously, Kane was going. I think anyone with Arthur, we knew Kane was going, and that the money was already kind of pre-spent from before, right? It was already spent before Kane had left. But looking at this squad, Perchy, looking how we are, you know, so easily ripped open by one or two players missing, right? Is this the time? I can't believe I'm answering this question. Is this the time that Levy and Enix, they've got to go, right, we've got to dig into our pockets here. We've got to dig into our pockets and give this manager 3 or 4 bodies. He's got to.
I'll sort of break down everything you said, because there's quite a bit there. So I'll break down, I think, when we talk about the signings of, we shouldn't have got Valise and Phillips and stuff because we should have got... No, I think we should be buying those players. I said this at the time. I said, no. I like this likes of signing in young talent and improving our academy, because that you improve the academy players, younger players that play in that level, it lifts up and you can start seeing better quality from everyone else, and it starts galvanizing. You get players that can breathe through. We should be signing those sort of players, and the young Croatian lad that we signed that we won't get until he's 18 and stuff. I like that. That's what I want to see us be doing. That's what we should be doing, planning for 2 to 3 years in the future. But we have to be doing the same for now. It works. It works in both. It works in both camps. You do both. Do we have to in January? If we don't sign anybody in January, that is one of the most ridiculous things ever. We have to. It's gonna sound like I'm playing up to it, but I think the Charlie Eccleshare stuff is probably more propaganda, I'm going to say. And listen, we'll find out in a few months' time, but you can't go out and say, Spurs are going to go out there and buy 3 or 4 players, because clubs will go, well, if Spurs are going to do it, they're going to raise the prices, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So,
hang on. There's a difference between... But you don't have to say anything. It's not an either or. He doesn't have to come out and say, by the way, Spurs have got a massive budget. But to turn around and actually say they've got a small budget, it would just be criminal. If we've got another manager that we can see can do good things, if we've got another manager that you get into January and you're like, right, we know we need players. We know we need a centre-back. We know we need more goals. We know that Basuma and Sarah go into the African Cup of Nations. We know that Son's going to the Asian Cup. You've got to back him. And it can't just be all loans and frees, can it, guys? It can't be. There's got to be some bodies.
Well, what I worry is the players that we are linked with at the moment, I think tells us, just to sort of go full circle on it, and just sort of the whole point of this conversation was, look at who we're linked with. Every single player we seemingly linked with has got what, 6 months left on their contract. Doesn't that really tell the sign? Right?
Perchy, do you know my big worries about all of this? And it links back to the whole protesting Levy out stuff. Why I do it all, okay? As much as I don't blame Poch, I don't blame Jose, I don't blame Redknapp, I don't blame Conte. Everyone can put whatever blame they want. I'm just someone, I don't blame managers anymore, right? That's just me. But I will say this. Poch never once put his foot down with Levy, and he had credit in the bank. He didn't put his foot down with him, and the inevitable happened, and Levy sacked him. Mourinho didn't put his foot down with Levy, and in the end, he got sacked. Conte wanted out, right? Leave then, right? If they've lied to you or you've lied to them, whatever breakdown has happened, walk. And in the end, Levy chucked him out. Stellini comes in. There must have been an agreement. Disaster. My worry here is when I hear Ange saying, I have the final say, it's on me, don't blame anyone else. He's taken all the weight on his shoulders now. So if we go and buy that guy from Bournemouth that people might be thinking,
Kelly.
really? Yeah, if we go and buy him, fans aren't going to be impressed. Some would be like, if Ange wants him, I want him. Or,
I love those people.
Let's it's the classic go-to, right?
Or,
let's wait and see. If we go down this road,
I've got loads,
and Ange accepts it, then it is literally going to be all on him because he will be another manager that tolerates it. But the thing is, I just don't know what he's like in this scenario. From what I've read, from what I've been told, speaking to fans in Australia and Celtic, Ange don't take shit. But you know what? I heard that about Jose, and I heard this about Conte. And if there's anyone that can just turn a manager and break him, it's this guy, Daniel Levy. And that's why I want him out, because he just does it all the time. So this January, if we do not bring in 3 or 4 proper reinforcements, right, and galvanize this squad for the second half of the season, I'm telling you now, something's going to give. I don't see how it doesn't break. Either the fans break and they blame Levy again and it's all Levy out, it blows up, or we turn on another manager, or the manager just succumbs to it and then he starts saying things like, look, as long as we get top 4, and he lowers his expectations and he starts talking funny. That's why this January for me is my litmus test. Has this ownership finally changed? And everything for me depends on this January, because we're seeing now once again, look, it's happened again. Owners. And I think most fans, for the first time, Perchy, for the first time, I think fans are actually saying, do you know what? We're with Ange on this one, because we've seen this before. So
Listen, and to
go
on to that,
by the way, I don't trust him to do it. I don't.
No, I get that. I agree with you.
I don't.
I agree with you. That's why I wore this shirt. That's why me and Stell are part of the firm. See, if you get it, purple and gold.
Purple and gold. Well done.
So what I would say on this, and I think, do you know what? You make a great point here. I think the one thing Ange has in massive favour here, and to kind of, this is where I think Daniel Levy is in trouble in a sense, where I think he can't go to type. And hear me out when I say this, because Ange is universally liked within the fan base. There's no one, I haven't seen anyone out there that doesn't like this guy as our manager, right? I haven't seen anyone. There are probably morons out there, by the way. But what I would say on this is, if he doesn't go and back him, everyone that's sitting here saying that this guy's the greatest, this guy's amazing, right? And he doesn't support him, where is everyone sort of sitting with this? Because if we go through this transfer window without signing anybody in January, everyone must be angry, right? Because we've seen it, right? Where are we going to be, right? Because where are we going to get to? Because
great question. That's a great question. I don't know,
because we have a lot of fans that are passive in that sense, and I'll try and choose my words very kindly for the reason for this, but all sit there and go, I love this guy. This is the right guy. He is what we are at Tottenham Hotspur.
But those people will double down. And Stell just hit the nail on the head, right? It's if Ange wants him, I want him. And now that Ange has said every transfer will be, they don't come through the door unless I want them, no one can now actually say he hasn't been backed.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point. Great
point.
We
literally can't sit there and say it, because Ange just turned around and said they're not coming through the door. So if these players come through the door now, what we're saying is this is exactly who Ange wants. So if it is, I'm just going to chuck a name. If it is Lloyd Kelly, right? I'm just using that because we've been linked with him loads. Cool. All right. That's got to work out. Because if it doesn't, you told us that you wouldn't bring for anyone through the door that you didn't want. So what people will do, will double down. And it doesn't matter who we bring in now. It doesn't matter what caliber. People will just go, well, if it's what Ange wants. Now, that's great. But you're not going to tell me that Ange doesn't want better than Lloyd Kelly. Like I'm using him as an example. You're not going to tell me he doesn't want better than like when we were linked with Nelson all summer from Galatasaray. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't believe that now we're ever going to know either way because of what Ange just said. And I don't believe what he said there. I genuinely don't believe that remark.
And Ange has put the feelers out though, right? Because in the press conferences, he has said, look, I want my signings early January. I like the business to be done because the longer you leave it, you miss games and time to integrate them. I want them early. And he goes, it's good now. We've got Lange and his team. So he's now settled in. And Ange's words, they're going through the data now so they can prepare. So what he's saying is, I've told them what needs to be done. The team behind it, I've been told that they're going through the data and they're working on it. Let's see. But he also said, and this is where I get worried, but he also said, but I also know it's not always easy to get it done at the beginning. So why have you got why have you got to put that little door open for Levy to jump through? Because he'll take it. He'll take that door to open it.
This is the worry, right? And I think
I'll
throw the question to you guys. I'll also throw it to I'll throw it to the chat as well. Why not? Let's get you guys involved. You guys here, I'll ask you this question. How many signings is the bare minimum in January? And listen, doesn't matter what the answer is. I just want to get people a feeler for everyone. And in the chat, put in the number. How many signings is the bare minimum for us to be getting to a level?
Okay, so for me, level, this is a really
no, but in the context of it's January, like in the context of.
Yeah, but you said to get to a level. What level? No,
to keep us to compete to get into Europe. Let's just say to get into Europe right now, because I don't think these players are getting us into Europe at the moment.
Europe is 7th, right? Surely you mean.
Europa League up, right? Okay, let's keep it simple. So anywhere top 6, call it top 6. Let's keep it simple.
I think bare minimum 2, but realistically 3 or 4. Bare minimum 2, but they've got to be
bare minimum. Let's go for the bare minimum now.
Those 2 have got to be proper players,
right?
Real players.
I'm going to caveat. Yeah. I love a caveat. I'm going to caveat this with, for me, it's not about the number. It's not. What we can't turn around and do is go, we've brought in another 18-year-old striker and Lloyd Kelly, and we all go, look at those 2. For me, if you're bringing in 2 players and people say, it's difficult in January, listen, this is why these scouts, this is why directors of football are paid the big bucks. That's their job. That's their job to do this, right? If they go out and bring in a forward that you go, hang on, you slip straight in. You know, if you're going to go and buy Santiago Jimenez and you go, wow, that's a statement. Yeah, go straight in the 11. If you're going to bring a centre-back that you go, get him straight in. But if we're bringing in Lloyd Kelly and some unknown on a loan or free, people will just sit in the chat going, it's Ange, back him. He's our manager. Right. He's different. But we had this with Redknapp, with Poch, with Jose. Do you remember? Last thing I'll say. Sorry, Perchy. Last thing I'll say.
Yeah,
do you remember that summer with Jose? And everyone said, Jose's been backed. And I literally went, what? With Joe Hart, Matt Doherty, Gedson Fernandez, Joe Roden. Sorry, a crocked Gareth Bale. Sorry,
Vinicius.
Are we this is backing a manager? You think Spurs, Jose Mourinho, one of the greatest managers that has ever lived, went, do you know what I need, Daniel? See that right wing back at Wolves, Matt Doherty? I need him. See that bloke playing at Swansea, Joe Roden? That's my guy. I just don't believe it. I never believe it. I never, ever believe it.
But the managers accept it, Savva. The managers accept it. This is the problem we have. The managers tolerate it. And then fans just from there on will say, well, look, managers behind it, because the manager's not said anything. And this is why I get worried when Ange, that's why I got so worried when Ange said, it's on me. I'm thinking, Ange, what have you done?
Yeah, I agree.
Please.
Yeah. So what Savva was saying was what I meant by it, but I didn't mean going and buying a couple of 18-year-olds to sit on the bench. I meant players that can challenge for the first team, if not go straight into it, right? I'm on about a Jimenez style player, players that you go boom, you go in and get in a left back that can challenge a doggy at left back, a better number 10 than Giovanni Lo Celso that goes boom, like there you go. We've got no Madison for a couple of months. There you go. We've got a player, may not be on that exactly that level, but he's good enough to keep you going for 2 months. This is the problem. Our first 11's good. I like it. I think it's a good 11. I think maybe even very good to us. I don't want to go over the top, but I think there can be still more improvements. But the second you lose a couple of decent players, no other football club goes to that sort of level. You look at everyone. And let's all go on to this point. Everyone was saying about title challenge and all this lot, and I don't want to sort of keep going on that, but the teams we're competing with in that sense, and that's why I rubbished it all that a week and a half ago. It was only 10 days ago people were saying we're going to win the league, right? And in a space of 10 days, we've lost, 5 players like that, and boom, it's all over. But you look at other teams, if you look at Man City at the moment are top of the league without their best player. Do you know what I mean? Because they can, because they've got that quality. And we need to be looking, and I'm not, by the way, I'm not saying that we're ever going to spend that level of money to get to a Man City, because I think that would take years and years and years. But we need to just be going, do you know what? We need to be looking at where we've got 2 of every position that are at a capable level, right? Someone, if one player gets injured, boom, you've got someone that goes in that can fight for it. Players, and when I hear the analogy of, well, this player's not going to come to sit on the bench, you shouldn't be signing players to come and sit on the bench. You should be signing players to come in and challenge the likes of Van der Ven and Romero at centre-half, challenge the likes of Pedro Porro at right-back, the left-back of Doggy, Sarr, Basuma, Bentancur. You get players in to compete for these positions to try and unlodge them and get into the team, right?
For sure.
But I feel like we get into this. We're going to get into this notion, by the way, and I've already premonitioned it. We go, well, we need another creative midfielder. Oh, well, we can't. They're not going to sit on the bench because we're playing with James Madison.
Yeah.
We can't get in. We can't.
Say.
We can't get another centre half and a top centre half in, because they're not going to start over Van der Ven or Romero. We need to, as a football club and as a mindset, get out of this. Get out of this. No, we should be buying 4 players for each position. 2 players for each position. That can all jump straight in here and there. And I think that's going to be so important moving forward.
If you approach a player who's at a club smaller than us and offer him a chance to play at a bigger club on higher wages, 9 times out of 10 they will come, right?
Of course,
because
100%.
It is a step up in their career. There's a comment in the chat from Bal, right? Where is it? 1038. He says, guys, we need to be realistic. Spurs don't have the spending power of some other clubs. So we are deluded if we think ENIC will sanction any meaningful other. Right, Bal, this is the thing, right? I don't know where you've read this. Arteta and Spurs, in the same period, we've spent 50 million less than them. They've spent about 700 odd million. We've spent about 640. We are spending, is how we spend it. And I think we've had this conversation about a million times, right? Richarlison, waste of money. Ndombele, waste of money. Listen, I would even argue for £42 million, Pedro Porro is an underwhelming right back for £42 million.
Like massively. I don't think he can defend.
Sort of funny.
I think that's a lot of money. When you look at Brennan Johnson, we spent 40 odd million on him so far.
47.5 million on him.
Right, so almost 50 million on Brennan Johnson. No disrespect to the guy. Let's see what he's about. But so far, have we had any kind of return on that? I don't think we have.
No.
So whereas Arsenal are buying Trossards, they're buying Joey Timber. They're signing. Okay, Kai Havertz is their dud. Given everyone gets one, but they seem to be. They've improved their recruitment game. Whereas I don't know if we have yet. I don't.
No.
The summer says maybe we have. But we've got to do that for the next 5-6 windows under Ange, then we'll know. But we have got the money.
But this in its totality, right, is first and foremost, where is this notion, right, that we don't have the spending power? This is the age-old conversation that we don't have the spending power. This is not true. One, we do. Two, we spent money. It's about how we spend money. Like I never liked the notion that Levy hasn't spent. He's spent. We've just done it badly. But what we can't do is, on one hand, it's everything's going well. You've got to back the manager. This is the greatest manager. We're doing things. And then on the other hand, oh, but hang on. We can't compete with the big boys. Well, why can't we compete with the big boys?
Of course we can. Of course we can. I love Man City's the great example, because everyone just thinks they go and spend crazy amounts of money. No, they don't. They buy good players for relatively good prices. How much did Ange cost?
15 million.
15 to 20 million pounds or something like that, weren't it? Yeah.
It was 15
million quid. How much did even Liverpool, by the way, use Liverpool. Luis Diaz, they spent 40 million pound on. We spent 47 on Brennan Johnson. Now now look at the difference, right? I know who I would rather have. And I know it's not as simple as that, and it's not all as, there are so many different avenues and things with that. But there are players out there that you can go and buy good valued players for. The problem what we have is it's such a lazy argument to say Spurs can't spend the money. Spurs can't compete with them. Yes, we can if you have good scouting. And what you do is you build to a system. What other clubs do, and they've done it for a long time, what we haven't done is they stick to a philosophy, and whether or not the manager stays or goes, they stick to it. What we've done is we've gone with Pochettino, much more progressive, pressing high energy team. Then put in a Jose Mourinho, who is much more pragmatic, defensive. You then have to gut that out and start again, but then they stay for 18 months. You then bring in a Nuno who's been negative, another negative manager, and a Conte who you could equally say is another.
These new contracts as well. Give them new contracts.
But this is my point, right? So
4 or 5 year contract.
Exactly. This is the problem, right? What we do is we offer contracts to players for long periods whilst we have a manager that stays at a football club for 18 months at a time. So it never will work. And that's why, and it's, unfortunately, this is a long problem which is caused that at this football club, we're still cleaning up the mess. And I said this in the summer. This is why I said at the beginning of the season, I have no expectations as long as this manager doesn't relegate us. And obviously, we're not going to get relegated because that was the whole point.
Yeah.
I always said I would only sack the manager this season if we get relegated. And that was my caveat, right? If he puts us in a relegation bout, obviously we're not going to be there. And this is why I say all along, this is going to take time. We have so much of a mess, and fans need to just settle a bit and understand where we are. Listen, we can be all critical. People go, oh, well, you must hate Ange because you don't like. No. I think Ange is exactly the right thing for this football club. Exactly the right thing for this football club. But it also means we can sit back and go, do you know what? Didn't think he got that right. Got that wrong. I liked what he did there. He liked what he did that. So this is that just to sort of round it all up.
Yeah, and look, we are gonna jump in a minute. But just before we do, big up, as I said, Joseph. Thank you. I think hopefully we've gone into that in enough detail for you, and thank you so much. We really do appreciate that. What I would say is please subscribe. People have been very, very, very tight today with the subscribing and the likes. We've gone backwards in the last 10 minutes with 3 people unsubscribing, so please smash that subscribe button before you leave. Also, George gave away another channel membership. So big up, George. We really do appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much for that. Rodney Roberts, who's been a member for 3 months now. Big up my Lewisham friend. Said, how do you think Gil done? And is he good enough? I think hopefully we answered that question throughout the show when talking about Brian Hill. One comment I did want to bring up. I've nearly gone the whole show without bringing up a comment that I just looked at and thought somebody hasn't thought this through in their head. And here it is. Here's today's. Robbie, I said, Perchy and Savva were advocates for Kane leaving, so they can't moan really. Right. Now, I just want to break this down before we finish, because this is what always makes me laugh. First and foremost, Kane leaving is the reason why you see Mickey van der Ven, James Madison, and Vicario. Kane leaving paid for that. I can't believe it's back to being in the summer. Harry Kane had 1 year left on his contract and made it clear to the club, I'm not signing a new contract. What part of we don't want to lose him for free and not be able to reinvest in the Van der Vens, the Madisons, the Vicarios? Don't you understand? It's an evolution. It's the food chain, and you have to bring money in. Yeah, you have to bring money in to pay for these players that are playing well for us now. It doesn't. Sorry, just quickly, Perchy. The thing is, does anyone here truly believe that we would have bought in Van der Ven, Madison, Vicario, Johnson, and kept Kane and not sold Harry Kane for 100 million?
No,
crazy, absolutely crazy.
And also the last thing I'll add on this bit. Do you know who was the other one that was happy for him to go? Ange Postecoglou. He came out and said it. He said, I had a meeting with Harry Kane as soon as he came to training, and he told me his intentions of leaving, and I respected his decision. The manager came out and said it in the public domain. You can go and read it. So the club and the manager knew full damn well, and Savva, all through the summer, what did we say? When the magic number is hit, Harry Kane is leaving. And the magic number was hit when it did. It was actually the day before the start of the season, right? Was it?
Yeah.
Day before the start of the season, the magic number was hit, and he was on a plane to Germany. I don't get what people don't understand with that.
Savva, can I just also quickly add? Right.
Yeah, sure.
There's one or two comments in the chat about spending power, right? Believe it or not, I worked in finance. That's what I mastered in at uni. Okay, so it doesn't mean I'm a genius, but I know the basics. 800 million pounds of debt is nothing when the repayment is 25 million a year and you're generating over 450 million pounds of income, right? The ratio of income to debt is tiny. It's called serviceable debt. Don't even look at the debt when the income is so high. And actually the stadium has increased the income. We can do more events and have more season ticket holders who spend more money. So
it's a lazy narrative. It's a lazy narrative. They've built this stadium. Now we can't spend money. It's a lazy narrative. They were the same people before the stadium saying we must have this stadium to compete. Look, listen. Sorry, go on.
I just want to say the other thing I want to say. People that say our net spend was 56 million, right? Ignore net spend. Right? Net spend it's a misleading figure because if we sold 100 million pounds worth of players, but we bought 150 million pounds of players, one minus the other's 50 million. So you've got net spend of 50 million. That doesn't matter. The fact is, whether we sold 100 million pounds of players, the club doesn't need to reinvest all of that plus a bit extra into other players. They can put that money to infrastructure, to hiring new staff, to paying manager. Always look at what we actually spend. So the money that we've got, how much of that have we spent? So if we spend 200 million or 150 million in the window, that's the figure you should look at because that's how much the club are prepared to put down on transfers. The net spend is irrelevant. We get carried away with net spend.
I agree.
Listen, absolutely, mate. I think the key thing is that we can look at this however we want. A couple of comments I thought I'd just bring out. I always say we're going to leave in 2 minutes, and then I see some comments, and it all gets spiked. People start putting in super chats right at the end of the show, and you read them out. It's brilliant. Phil Coys, big up to you, Phil. Hope you're well, my man. Said I don't think Ange was happy for him to go. Didn't have a choice because he wanted Kane to leave. No manager would be happy. No, I think the whole point was that it was the fact he had said that Kane came into his office on day one and almost said, I'm going to be leaving. Kane has said the same thing. Levy has said the same thing. And Ange has said the same thing. So all these fans that were going, I can't believe we sold him. I don't know what part of Harry Kane wanted to leave. We don't understand. What I would say is, I agree with this. The fact that we are talking about our January window already shows you the depth or lack of depth at the football club. Somebody else made a really good point. I can't remember. Somebody said, hopefully our new scouts, I can't see it now, but someone said, hopefully our new scouts will be able to buy find some good cheap players. But the thing is, again, if that's how we're going to operate all the time, let's stop worrying about catching the likes of Man City. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Big up Oryx Beats. Listen, thank you so much for the super chat. Listen, dude, I get it. And I think it's always good to find a bargain. I just think that to get over the line, all the teams that have got over the line, you get they buy a couple of big uns, right? Man City get a couple of good. Man City get they get Alvarez for 15, 20 million, whatever he was. They get Akanji for 20 million, but they also then go out and go, hang on, how much are we going to pay for a Vardiel? Bum.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's the perfect thing. Liverpool, when they won the title in the Champions League, they got some really good bargains all over the team. But then they went, oh, what's that? Alisson's at what? 80 minutes? Boom. Van Dijk? Boom. I think you've got to have the mixture.
Do you know what's annoying with this, right? Everyone praises Brighton for their data analytic, data-driven model. And do you know what? Hats off to Brighton. They've nailed it. So on the one hand, we're told this stadium, we've got to build it, £1 billion, game changer, so we can generate the finances to compete with the big boys. But yet we go and use the model that the clubs that don't have the money to compete with have used. What was a stadium for then? If we're going to do what the little clubs do.
Right. Yeah, spot on. That's why it can't be either or. I think every football club has to have a mixture of both. Now,
Exactly. It's got to be a bit of both for me.
It's got to be a bit of both. Where I think we've missed out on is because we've not been good in the. I don't want to start a whole new conversation, but where we've not been brilliant at bringing through players, where the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United sell their young players at a really good price, and Man City, sorry, the best at it at the moment, where they bring through these players who have maybe 10, 15 appearances for the first team, and then they go, right, there's 35 million, 30 million, 30 million, 30 million. We've not done that. So at the moment, we're talking about completely changing our ways. We've got to change everything. But listen, I don't want to keep going. But there is a super chat here from Jerome, who said, the Kane era is finished. Let's move on. Agreed. We will be fine without him, and showed we will be fine. We're in a rebuild, and there are going to be a lot of bumps before things get better. Can't we all just be patient? Absolutely. I'm patient for it. I'm just looking to see what it is when it comes to that moment. Right now, we can't do anything. When that transfer window opens between January the 1st and January the 30th, that's when we'll know, have we changed? Has Daniel Levy changed? Are we really going to go in and do things or not? For me, but big up. Thank you for the super chat. Really
Savva,
do appreciate
Perchy,
it.
question for you both. I just want to know what you think on this, right? We've lost 2 in a row. Let's assume we lose to Villa, we lose to Man City, then we play West Ham, we get a draw, and then we lose to Newcastle, right? So that's what's that? 6 games. 6 games. If we get 1 point from the next 18, what do you think the narrative is going to be around the club in terms of hierarchy, fans, rivals? What would you think? Where do you think that goes? Because that's a very realistic scenario.
Where we get 1 point of our next 6, or are we counting the 2 that we've already lost?
The 2 we've already lost.
So it's saying lost to Chelsea, obviously. We've lost to Wolves, lose to Villa, lose to Man City, get a point against West Ham, and then lose to Newcastle. I mean, that's not unrealistic at the moment.
That's what I mean.
I'll be honest. So, I don't know. This is the question, because this fan base does blow with the wind a lot. I don't care. I'll say it. I'll clip me up. I don't care. But it does. Like, at the moment, it's poor us at the moment. But this is where I said
10 days
this,
ago we were winning the league.
10 days ago we were winning.
What's the hierarchy going to be? How do you think the hierarchy will look at it of Tottenham, and how do you think the general conversation in media and YouTube will be? Not just Spurs channels, but non-Spurs channels.
I think the hierarchy will look on what the narrative in the fan base is, and it depends how it's peddled out, because the narrative can be peddled out in whatever way. Because, as I said, 10 days ago we were winning the league. Now it's, let's just, this is a rebuild, we need to get on it. But you're right, if we get to 6 games without winning a game, what will be the change in narrative? Because my mind stays all the same. I've been like it when we were top of the league, and I said, doesn't matter. I think we're going to go. There's so many bumps in this road, but the fan base, the collective fan base. I'm not on about just the YouTube. I'm on about everyone, because where will it go? Because for me, if people start changing, that's the worry I have. Because you're right. Because if the narrative changes and him at the top starts hearing that, it gives the notion that, oh, he's not the guy, blah, blah, blah. We all got carried away, blah, blah, blah. It's a worry. I don't want to see it, because I think this man is the man that will take us somewhere. But I don't know. It's a great question. The irony, hypothetically, we go and beat Villa, we somehow beat Man City, and then we don't hear about it. But I don't think that is going to be the case. But we'll never know.
I'll tell you what. If we've got a few more, we'll go for a couple more minutes. Then we must jump. Look at those games. Realistically, coming up. Let's look at the immediate 3 or 4 games that we've got coming up.
Are you going to put it up?
No, I wasn't. No, if you want to bring it up,
it's Villa, Man City, West Ham, Newcastle.
Okay. So, what did you say? The next what?
Villa at home.
Yeah.
Man City away. West Ham at home, and then Newcastle at home.
And then Newcastle at home. For me, I'm going to go with. I think we'll get 5 points.
What? Out of the next 12? How?
Is it Newcastle away?
Isn't
Newcastle's
it
at our ground? So
okay. I'm going.
I think we'll draw with Newcastle. I think we'll beat West Ham. Dang, do I think we're going to draw with Villa? I'm not sure.
Villa.
Actually, no. I think 4 points. I think we're going to lose the next 2 straight off. I do. I think that if you're an Aston Villa forward, yes, I know we can all say they've not been good away, but I think I've literally just watched Chelsea get us, Luton get us, Wolves. I mean, let's be brutally honest still. Yesterday, Wolves got us and got us and got us. Aston Villa have got.
Can score.
We deserve to lose that all day long.
Oh, for sure. But now look at Diaby, Bailey, Watkins, Zaniolo, Douglas Luiz. I think they're going to relish playing our back 4.
I'm going to say we get. I'm going to say we get 6 of the next 4. I think we lose. I think we lose against Villa. We lose against City, but I think we beat West Ham just, and I think we beat Newcastle because they've got equally an injury crisis like we do. But I don't know how long their players are back. I don't know when their players will be back.
Don't you think every manager right now that's got Spurs in the next 6-7 fixtures looking saying they're there for the taking? You know, if we can just do this,
100%.
We can just do that and that.
100%.
Yeah. Right. I asked Perchy this question yesterday. Didn't I, Perchy? I said, if you are, and this applies, I said this about Gary O'Neill yesterday, but still it applies to.
He said this before the game, actually.
Yeah, said it before the game. This applies to Unai Emery. It doesn't apply to Pep Guardiola. You know what Man City are going to do anyway. This applies to Emery. This is going to apply to David Moyes. This is going to apply to Eddie Howe. If I am in a changing room before the game and I'm with the team all week building up, I am saying, guys, we are playing Tottenham. Get at their back 4. Get at their fullbacks. They cannot defend. Right? And what did Wolves do yesterday?
Yeah.
They targeted Porro and Royale like there was no tomorrow. Villa will just give the ball to DRB, give the ball to Watkins, and let them run these channels. And I just can't see how we get. If we get a draw, I'm going to say the same thing I said yesterday, Perchy, before the Wolves game where I was called negative. I will bite your hand off right now, guys, for a point to Villa.
Oh, 100%. I said this against Wolves. I'd snatch a point against Wolves. I said that. I thought we would draw against Wolves. I said snatch a point with the clutches of success there. But I think this is the worry for me. I think you're right. I think.
Do you know, I've enjoyed going to Spurs this year. I've really enjoyed going to Spurs this year. I've actually enjoyed it, right? And I can honestly say...
It looks good. It looks enjoyable. Everyone's having a good time,
I'm not
right?
looking forward to it anymore, Perchy. Like, after the game against Wolves, I did the watching on We Are Tottenham TV, and after watching it, I thought, I've lost my heart for it now. Until I see Van der Ven and Madison back, I think I've lost my heart for it, because I know how big they are for us, those two.
Yeah, but by the way, George, listen, I'm not saying, by the way, that Villa are the best team in the world. I don't think West Ham and Newcastle are. All I was saying, and by the way, I said we'll pick up points with West Ham and Newcastle. All I was saying is, if I'm the manager of one of those teams right now, but I'll ask everyone in the chat, be honest with yourself. What is your message if you are playing Tottenham right now without Van de Ven, without Romero, without Madison? What is your message to your players before you go and play Spurs? Because Wolverhampton Wanderers, they may have had less possession, but they were all over us. They were all over us. Chance after chance. And thank God that Cunha, who's a brilliant player, by the way, thank God he can't finish his dinner, because they had, I'm worried. I am truly worried. And this was my worry at the beginning of the season. This was always my worry. It's not new. It's not hindsight. This was my worry. You lose 2 or 3, we're done.
And do you know what? And even after that, whereas maybe 4 or 5 games ago, you think, okay, well, after that, it's Nottingham Forest. I don't know if anyone's been watching Nottingham Forest the last 3 or 4 games. That game's no
good
joke
result.
That is no joke, that game.
They look good today.
They're playing as a team. They're a team.
No, they didn't. They didn't win today, but they look good today.
They won 2-0 last weekend. And today they might have got something from West Ham. So
yeah, I think but I thought they deserved something out of it. They played really, really well. Yeah, a doggy's back, but do you know what? A doggy's back.
It's Brighton away after that. Then it's Brighton away.
But still, do you know what? You've hit you're a great point here, and this is what I said when everyone was getting carried away 10 days ago. Everyone was getting carried away. We're going to win the league, and I said, everyone went, I said, we have been playing the teams down the bottom. The second half of when you get into November and December, we're playing the Newcastles, the Villas, the Man Cities, the Brightons,
the Wolves.
I won't worry about that.
West Hams.
Perchy, I won't worry about that. It's the players. As soon as Van de Ven pulled up, right? Forget Madison. As soon as Van de Ven pulled up, I turned to the guys I go with Spurs. I said, "We're fucked." I just felt the whole season sink. The whole season just collapsed. Just that one. The rest. But this is everything after that was just. But
still,
daggers in the back.
My point was this is with a full strength team. I'm going. These are the tougher games, right? Yeah. Now we're doing it with shoestring players.
Forget it.
Going into, and by the way, the second bit of this all, in December we play 9 games of football.
Yeah.
So we're now having to do it on a shoestring of players. Yes, I know Romero's coming back from suspension after a few.
You can't rest either now.
You can't rest players. The players that you would have used in air quotes squad players to rotate 1 or 2 in and out to keep fitness. The same players that haven't played a lot of football and now going to have to go and play 9 games in December because Van de Ven's going to be missing. Madison's going to be missing. We've already got wingers that are missing already, right?
We've got one.
Even when Romero comes back, I just want to remind everyone, even when Romero comes back, everyone said that I was told that Romero wasn't playing well because he wasn't playing alongside someone competent.
Good point.
And that was in a free. Point. So we're now going to go back to what? Dyer and Romero. I don't think it works as a pet. So listen, we could beat Villa. I'm not saying we can't. I'm not saying there's no possibility. All I'm saying is, and I know people will completely not listen to this point, if I'm Unai Emery, and by the way, Aston Villa are the 2nd top goal scorers in the Premier League. All of this Unai Emery sits back. They're the 2nd top goal scorers.
He's a top manager. He's a good manager.
He is a top manager. But they've got goals from all areas. John McGinn, Douglas Luiz, Zaniolo, Bailey, Diaby. And then obviously Ollie Watkins, who's got has he got 8 goals and 5 assists already this season, or something like 7 goals and 5 assists, something like that. I think this is going to be a tough game. So when people are going, we'll beat Villa, I just think, but I heard all this yesterday about Wolves still. Before the game, Perchy and I got absolutely ruined in our channel. We got absolutely ruined. You take a point, how negative, how defeatist. And then I watched Wolves time and time again run through us at will.
Yeah. I think Villa are better than them. Villa are better than Wolves.
Villa are 1 point behind us. And Villa go into the top 4 if they beat us in the next game and we drop out.
Yeah.
That's where they are. And I think it's all squeezing now. Have you noticed the league table? It's all squeezing up now. Where we were like, oh my God, we're going to be 10 points clear. Man United have just won back-to-back games. So in this, I don't rate them at all. But considering I don't rate them at all, Man United are now got into the 20 points and they're now 6th.
We've kickstarted Chelsea's season as well.
Chelsea now have got 4 points against Spurs and Man City. No one would have said that.
And
this was the run. This was the Chelsea run that everyone said, oh, God help you now. And they're just...
But still, have you noticed? Everyone was going, oh, this is a Chelsea team that can't score goals. They've scored 3 less goals than us now. Do you know what I mean? And all it takes is a bit of, you could call it fortuitous, whatever you want to call it. But now Chelsea is starting to find a way to score goals, right? And do you know what? I said this and I will stand by it. My big worry now is this 10-point gap between us and Chelsea is going to shrink by the time we get to January. I hate saying it, but I feel like it very much will.
But for sure, listen, I think that we've got to be, hang on, this is why today, hang on, I'm going to bring up the Premier League table. Before I do that, Jerome, big up, very generous, as always, has said, I agree with Stel. No, don't agree with Stel, because then in our WhatsApp group, Stel will be like, yeah,
well done,
Jerome.
and I'll send you a fiver as well.
I agree with Stel. With VDV gone for a long time, with Dyer as the only centre-back left, I worry about our season. Great. I think we're all there. I think we're all there, apart from the super positive people. 6 and 5, thank you. Yeah, I knew he'd done some bits, old Ollie Watkins. I genuinely think, Will, that he's going to have him and Diaby, especially, because they're the main two. I think they're going to have a field day against us at the back. I've literally just watched Cunha, Hwang, Bellegarde.
Yeah, Bellegarde.
These players run at us. They're not
Lamina from a late run from midfield. He had 2 or 3 chances.
Yeah, and just the last thing, definitely before we go, here is the league table. Okay, so there is the Premier League table in all its glory. Oh, sorry, can you
hang on? That's fine.
Yeah, perfect. Cheers. So if we look at that now, all the way down to Newcastle, I'm not going to put Brighton are just on teetering on the edge, but if we go down to Newcastle, look how close that is now. Yeah. And I said to you still a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 games changes everything in football. 3 games changes everything. Because if Spurs lose, the next game, Villa now jump into 4th, right? And if Man United and Newcastle win their game next week, now all of a sudden we're 1 game away from being below that. So this is huge, the Villa game now, right? This is monumentally huge, because you can't then do a 3rd defeat in a row. Then you've got Man City, and realistically, you're looking at a 4th defeat in a row. This game's massive now, isn't it, Stel? Just quickly, it's massive.
I think every game is massive. My biggest concern is if we don't pick up some wins, I can honestly see the narrative turning against Ange, and I'm predicting if that happens, it will snowball. I've been here before. Yeah. So, listen. Oh, you know when you want to say something like, "Look, Ange's got to find a way," and I just don't see how. Unless, look, we can get through this. There is a way, but everyone's going to hate it. You have to go into that boring low block crap of 11 men, but that goes against every reason we brought this guy in. Defeats the purpose. So we're going to have to take these hits. We are literally going to have to take these hits coming up.
I'm going to ask you both a question. Right? I want to know the following things. 1, on January the 1st, where will we be in the league and how many points off the top? And on January the 1st, how many points will we be above Chelsea? We're currently 10 points. The reason I'm using Chelsea as the benchmark is I think Chelsea they're going to start not winning every game. I do think you're going to start seeing them picking up points more regularly now. They're getting into a bit of a groove, and they look good today.
Okay.
What do you reckon?
Okay, I've got the tape. I've got the fixtures up. So Tottenham, Villa, I think we'll lose. Man City lose. West Ham at home, I'm going to say win. Newcastle at home, look, I'll be pragmatic and say draw. Forest away is a tough one because, as Stel said, they're playing well. So what I'm saying, maybe a draw at the moment. Okay, what am I? I can't remember what I said. That's 5 points.
5.
Everton at home. I say a win, but I think we might have a few players back.
Everton have got their shit together, you know.
They have. Oh, I don't know. What's that?
They're
8.
a hard-working team. They're a Sean Dyche team, right?
They're Sean Dyche team, yeah.
Brighton away. Maybe nick a draw. 9. Bournemouth at home. Win.
We'll beat Bournemouth.
1, 2, 3.
Although didn't
1,
Bournemouth
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. If we get anywhere between 10 and 12 points in the next 8 games, I'd be happy at the moment. I'm being honest, just looking at those. I think I'd snap your hand off.
And let's be honest, teams like Man City, when we're talking about the big boys, teams like Man City and Liverpool won't only take 12 from the next 8. There's little chance.
No,
that Man City
no.
and
I mean,
Liverpool
listen,
will
I'm not worried about Man City now. I think they're long gone. I don't know where people get this notion.
I was never having that conversation, but when like today,
no, I know you weren't.
Was hilarious. Yeah. During the watch along was hilarious. People going, God, if Chelsea can nick this point, we're still only one. It's like, stop using Man City as the barometer of our season. Yeah. Man City are the champions for a reason. That's not our target. Our target is to get back into Europe. Our target is to win as many games as possible. But Man City is not the one you want to be chasing down. But look, by that reckoning, I think you've gone with 10 points there, Perchy. That puts Spurs onto 36 points, right? That'll be in 8 games' time, by the way. So that'll put Spurs onto 36 points after 20 games of the season. 36 points.
I've got Chelsea's up. So Chelsea was the barometer, right? So Chelsea 10 points behind us. Yeah. I worked it. They've got Newcastle at home. I think they go and beat them, actually. Newcastle depleted.
They've got
but Newcastle as a team are depleted at the moment on players. They're
at home, Perch. You know, they've got the.
Okay, go on then. I'll give them a point. Let's go get a draw. Brighton at home, maybe another draw, another point. Man United are all over the place. I think they'll probably go and beat them. 5. Everton away. I think they beat them 8. They beat Sheffield United 11.
Perch,
then they play Wolves away. Maybe they get a point. I'll say 12.
I'll tell you what I think they are doing. I'll tell you what they're doing, Chelsea here, is they're becoming hard to beat.
And they're scoring.
I know Brentford beat them, but if we actually look at Chelsea, this is the thing. When you actually look at it in it's kind of overarching. If you look at Chelsea in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games, they've lost once. They've lost 1 in 9, and that was to Brentford, right? And they shouldn't have lost that game. But they're now starting to find ways to work. They've got a nice little setup with Cole Palmer, Sterling, Gallagher.
He's so good. He's so
Enzo
good.
Fernandez, Caicedo, Nicholas Jackson. We've now started to help him scoring goals. He scored again today. They've got Nkunku that's going to be coming back for the new year. I'm going to say this now. I don't think it's going to be much in it between Spurs where we finish and where Chelsea finish at the end of the season. That may sound crazy now with 10 point. Hang on. That may sound crazy now with a 10-point gap, but I think that could be gobbled up very quickly with the injuries we've got.
100%, because Chelsea don't have Europe either. They can focus 1 game a week. So Chelsea will probably claw it back, but at the same time, we are going to hit a patch once we get over this storm where we are going to go again. I think Spurs will get a second wind, probably late.
I'll tell you what, I'll find it. I'll tell you what, I'm going to find it. Right, I'm going to find our games, and I'll let you know when that second wind comes. I.e., not losing for 5 or 6 games. So we have got
February onwards.
So once we get into Tottenham, Brighton, Tottenham, Wolves, Tottenham. I'm just trying to find a nice little run in a row. There you go. Here's the run. It's gonna, for me, I think it's gonna be Fulham, Luton, West Ham, Forest, and then I think we'll dip again because we'll have Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool in a row. Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool.
But no, it gets worse, by the way. It's Newcastle, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool. Is that what you just said?
Yeah. Newcastle, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool in 4 games in our last 6. 4 of our last 6. Away at Newcastle, away at Liverpool, the North London derby at White Hart Lane, and Man City at home.
Listen, I think
gonna be
once
tough.
Madison Van de Ven come back, let's see what the January transfer window is like. I think end of Jan, beginning of Feb, Spurs will get their second win, and I think the second half of the season will be better than the first half. I think because that's when all the cup semi-finals, quarterfinals, Champions League. That's when it's the business end, and we won't be in that shit. We were just focusing on the league.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go back to the question Savva initially asked. I'm going to put it out there. January 1st, we're going to be between 4 to 6 points ahead of Chelsea. I think they'll close the gap massively on us now. I'm going to say because they're 10 points. I think they're going to get 6 more points than us by 4 January. And I think they'll be 4 points behind us. They're 4 points behind us, yeah.
Last thing I'll say about this, by the way, I love sometimes when I see it, you know what I'm like. When I see a comment, I always think, okay, I'm going to go and check that out because I think people say things without actually looking into it. So this is an interesting one. Man City's defence has not been as strong this season too. Man City's defence before today's 4-4 was the best in the league. Like we can't just say, we can't just make things up, right? You can't just make, they're not as good. Today was a crazy 4-4. Before today, here's a question for you guys. In the last 21 games that Man City have played, how many times do you think they've conceded more than one in the last 21 games?
Last 21. So they lost more than one goal.
To let in more than one goal in the last 21 games.
Well, they lost to Wolves 2-1. Oh, so it said more than two. Sorry, more than one. Yeah, more than one.
Let in more than one goal.
Yeah, Wolves.
Shall I stop you there?
Atletico Madrid last season.
Shall I stop you there? It's Wolves.
Oh, in the league, did you say?
No, last 21 games in all competitions, Man City have let in more than one goal once in 21 games. And then we get people going, but their defence hasn't been strong.
Wow, yeah.
That's not true.
You're right.
This isn't true. What you saw was a ding-dong derby today, but Man City's defence normally doesn't ever concede, like more than one. The last 4 games, they've conceded 2 goals before today. So
do you want to know after the Wolves game when the last time they conceded more than one goal? I've got it here. January the 19th against Tottenham where they beat us 4-2. I've just got it on here now.
There you go.
There's no January they've nearly gone a whole year and conceded more than 2 goals twice.
Yeah, but their defense is
terrifying.
This is what I mean, Perchy. People say things, but without actually going to find out if it's true. Like when somebody said to me on my show earlier, Villa aren't that good going forward. And I went, at the time, by the way, the Man City hadn't scored 4 goals against Chelsea. It's like they've got the best attack in the league. And we're saying they're not that good going forward. They've got the best attack in the league. I
don't get why fans just kind of dismiss Man City like this.
I think it's actually the most ridiculous things in the world.
Do you know, after everything that's happened this season, they are still top. They're still top of the tree. And they haven't even gone on that crazy run they go on.
No. They haven't got. Bear in mind, John Stones, I think, has played like twice this season. Kevin De Bruyne has missed the entire season.
He'll be back.
They're still top. And the worrying thing is, this is what I never understand about anybody when they talk about Man City. Don't we see the same pattern every year for Man City? That everyone at the beginning of every year, this isn't the same Man City. The defense isn't as good this year at Man City. They're not scoring goals like they used to. And then all of a sudden, the new year comes and they go, right, let's not lose for 20 games in a row now. And I just don't understand still how we're not, as a collective football world, understanding that.
Pep Guardiola is just class.
Do you know what is it? Yeah, no, I was just going to say.
He's at the right club. He's at the right club.
He's at the right club. And what he does, he gets... And what, do you know what Pep Guardiola does better than... He doesn't get as much credit as from like... Because we do it horrendously wrong, is... He sells at the right time. Everyone goes to me, wow, they've lost Mahrez. So what? They go and buy Jeremy Doku. Do you know what I mean? They'll go and get rid of... They won't re-sign a Gundogan because what they'll do is they'll go and buy Kovacic and they'll just keep doing it. They keep doing it.
Look, I do want to go. I wanted to go about 45
Yeah.
minutes ago, and then I kept talking. By the way, big up to absolutely everyone. Listen, I can't see past Man City winning the league this year again. But Man City Liverpool is the next game at Man City. Anyway, thanks everyone. Stel, thanks for jumping on in the absence of Danny Kiriakou, who still hasn't responded to
Still
me.
hasn't said anything.
I'm
telling you, he's asleep. Right, I guarantee he's fallen asleep. That's Danny for you. That's Danny. The Danny's special.
Jesus Christ. Well, listen, thanks for coming on anyway, and we'll see you on Wednesday night for Spurs Unleashed. By the way, everyone in the chat, Spurs Unleashed this week will be on Wednesday at 8 instead of Thursday. It's normal time because Perchy and I are going up to the Football Content Awards in Anfield, more for a piss up than anything else, to be brutally honest with you. And we do have a new show starting on Tuesday. I'm going to let Perchy tell you all about it and the name of it, and then we will be going.
Yeah, so on Tuesday at 6 p.m, we'll be doing a brand new show. It's going to be called Rivals React. So we've got me and Savva, I say more Savva, it basically went all over and got a hold of a load of content creators from all around the footballing world in the Premier League. And we'll be having it more as like a sort of a football show where it's a reaction show of what happened the weekend before and the following week, just to get a gauge on all other sort of content creators from all different football clubs. So yeah, please make sure we've got some really, really cool designs for it. The intro is coming soon. It is brilliant. We're just tweaking it a little bit, but it is absolutely brilliant. So all the artwork and all that is all ready. So I'm really, really excited for Tuesday. And obviously, I always say big up Susie because she does all of it and she has to put up with me and Savva all the time.
Yeah, I've come as like a part of the package now. But yeah, no, so please join that. I think that I know sometimes people don't like watching content that isn't Spurs, but I do find it interesting to find out what do other people think of us. Let's talk about their clubs as well. So look, we will be doing that. Yeah, and big up Suze. Rivals React starting 6 p.m. on Tuesdays. It'll be every single Tuesday. It'll be a different panel every week. We've got 22 YouTubers in the chat. Some feisty characters in that room. Just a few feisty characters in that room. So listen, big up. Thanks to Stel for coming on. Please go and subscribe to Tottenham Away. Let's keep the love flowing. Please subscribe to Football Heritage TV. We are now over 11,800. So thank you very much for everyone for doing that. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you. And good night. And as always, come on, you Spurs.